A very good afternoon to all the students. Welcome to this session for Success at CA exam, paper 3B intermediate level, goods and services tax. So this Success at CA exam BOS session is directed towards May 26 examination, forthcoming May 26 examination, which are going to be held next month. So in this session, we will be discussing the exam oriented tips, that what you need to remember, what points you need to focus before exam, what are the commonly committed errors which students commit and because of which they lose marks in the examination, which you should not commit, because we always say learn from others' mistakes. So that also we are going to focus how you should present your answers, what are the points you need to focus in examination, before examination when you are revising, as well as when you are appearing for the exam, then what are the points you need to keep in mind while presenting your answers. Some mistakes which most of the students commit, I would not say everyone, but most of the students commit, that we do not want you to commit. So we'll be sharing them with you. Plus, we'll try to take few technical questions also, so that you'll get an idea about how you have to present those answers if they come in the exam. So basic focus will be on presentation of the technical questions. When we'll be taking the technical questions, focus will be on stressing upon the presentation of those questions. So, good afternoon, Lingaraju. So, all of you, when I would be taking commonly committed errors as well as technical questions, I would want all of you to interact. In fact, in between also, if you have any queries, you can keep posting them at ECPL also, and those of you who are there in the Zoom link, they can also post their queries during the session. So please try to be as interactive as possible so that this session becomes useful and valuable for you as well as for other students. Sometimes your queries can answer others' queries also. So while preparing for May 26 examination, I hope all of you have been very sincere, very dedicated. And since now exams are nearing, almost 15 days are left for your examination. So all of you are geared up and you are most of you will be in the revision stage. So while revising, what points you need to take into consideration, as well as revising day before exam. Now this is your last revision before the commencement of the exams. But yes, day before exam you get one preparatory leave. So what are the points you need to focus at that point of time? That also we will see. And then we will see the commonly committed errors. That is the main highlight of this particular session, because we want all of you to dedicatedly listen to that particular session portion of this session so that you can focus on that. And then we will see some of the technical questions. And in case you have any other technical or any exam related question, you can keep posting in the chat box at the Zoom link as well as in the ECPL. So yes, so let us start with the session. First of all, as paper 3B, you know that it has two portions. Section A, income tax. Success at CA exam session for income tax has just been convened before lunch. And now we will be having session for section B, GST. Both the sections carry equal weightage of 50 marks. So you have to pay equal attention to GST. And many students focus on GST to score in this examination, in this paper 3, taxation. So since it comprises of GST as well as income tax, GST is very scoring and you will be able to get marks if you focus on the paper conceptually. If you learn this paper conceptually, definitely I can assure you that you can score better in this paper and you can succeed in the examination. Just before I start, let me know that my screen, I hope, is visible and clear to you all. In case anybody has any clarity issue, please let me know, because sometimes in this format, some students face the clarity issue. The applicable position of law for May 26 examination, most important thing, because when you are appearing for the examination, you should know that what is the position of law which you will be reflecting in your answers. Sometimes students get very confused. They know amendments in a particular section and they get confused in the examination that which position of law they should reflect in the answer sheet, because some section or some rule has undergone amendments 2-3 times before the examination, before the cutoff date for the examination. So they have a confusion in mind that which position of law they should base their answer on. So for that, all of you should know that FA, Finance Act 2025, is applicable for May 26 examination, and plus notification and circulars issued till 31st October 2025. Now, basically, this is your cutoff date. Up to this cutoff date, whatever amendments have become effective, of Finance Act as well as by notifications and circulars, they will be applicable in your examination. And whatever position of law persists on 31st October 2025, that you have to on that you have to base your answers in the examination. So please bear this in mind that 31st October 2025 is the cutoff date. Answer all your questions based on that. All the amendments made by Finance Act 2025 will be applicable for your respective examination. Just quickly, we'll go through the question paper pattern and then we'll come to the commonly committed errors. So question paper will be divided into two parts. One is MCQ portion and another one is the descriptive portion. We'll see the descriptive portion sequence also. But before that, we'll first of all see the MCQ portion. So MCQ portion carries 15 marks and descriptive portion carries 35 marks. In MCQ portion, out of 35 marks, there will be some independent application-based MCQs, plus there will be one or two case scenarios. Now, in case scenarios, all the MCQs will carry 2 marks. And this independent application-based MCQ, this will carry 1 mark. So there will be one MCQ, which will be a small scenario-based MCQ. There will be very small scenario based on which an MCQ will be asked. That will carry 1 mark. And in the case scenarios, there will be either there will be one case scenario having 6 questions, 5 questions, and a rest will be independent questions, 1 mark, or 2 markers. One question will be carrying 1 mark, others will be carrying 2 marks. So all MCQs will carry 2 marks except one MCQ that will carry 1 mark because it's a 15 marks weightage. Because of that, one question carries 1 mark. All MCQs will be application and analysis based MCQs, answer to which will be based on the facts given in the question or the scenario. So a small scenario will be given to you. Based on that, some questions will be asked. You have to see the scenario. You have to refer to the facts given in the scenario, apply the provisions of GST law and arrive at the correct answer. Few independent application-based MCQs will also be there, out of which one MCQ will carry 1 marks, rest will carry 2 marks. So we can see the last year suggested answer, last attempt suggested answer also to see this pattern. I will just take you quickly through that suggested answer once we go through the entire question paper pattern and through other crucial things. In later part of the session, we'll try to see one suggested answer to see the paper pattern which we have discussed, how it actually reflects in January 26 examination. So next is the descriptive question paper pattern. In descriptive questions, you will see that overall 35 marks descriptive portion is there, of which first question is compulsory. Now, since this question is compulsory, you have to answer it. You know that you do not have any choice in this. 15 marks question is compulsory. It has 2 subparts. One generally requires you to compute net GST liability. And next question, suppose A and B, 2 subparts are there. So next subpart, the second subpart of this particular compulsory question, it requires you to compute maybe value of supply, sometimes GST liability itself they ask. So basically some core provision will be tested in question 1. That carries 15 marks. So 10 plus 5 is generally the weightage or the breakup which has been seen in this particular compulsory question. Then comes the questions which are optional or out of which you have a choice of one question. That has 3 questions. So there will be 3 questions each carrying 10 marks. And out of which you have to attempt any 2. Any 2 questions you have to attempt. So you have a choice of one question in the paper of 10 marks. Hope that is clear to you all. So this is the overall diagrammatic presentation. If you see Division A, that is MCQ portion, it is compulsory in nature and it carries 15 marks. Okay, thank you, Lingraju. And Division B, it carries, this is question 5. Question 5 of your examination, generally it is numbered as question 5 only because similar pattern is followed in income tax also. So GST portion starts from question 5. There are 4 questions in income tax. First question is compulsory. Second, third and fourth questions are optional questions out of which you have to attempt any 2 questions. From 5th question onwards, GST portion starts and 5th question itself is a compulsory question. So 5A and generally, which has been observed is 5A and 5B, it has 2 subparts. And then we have 3 optional questions, 6, 7 and 8, out of which you have to attempt any 2. This carries 20 marks. So if you see, in a way, compulsory portion is 15 plus 15, that is 30 marks. And optional or choice-based portion is 20 marks. Okay. Let us move to the next slide. Yes. Pattern of the question paper. Quickly we'll go through it because we want to cover something more important, that is commonly committed errors in presentation portion. That will help you in actually scoring better in the exam. So, but before that, you should know what is the paper pattern, what is the question paper pattern. So we are quickly going through it. As I already discussed, 30% paper is MCQ based and 70% paper is descriptive portion. So MCQ portion is entirely compulsory. You do not have any choice in MCQ portion. But in descriptive portion, yes, we have 15 marks compulsory portion and 25 marks as the choice-based questions, out of which you have 10 marks questions choice. Now, preparation strategy, if you ask me, from, oh, I think some words are getting strike off. Just a minute. Give me just 1 minute. I will get it resolved. I hope now it is fine. Okay. So for MCQs, so preparation strategy is same for MCQs as well as for descriptive portion. Only thing which you need to keep in mind is that while answering the MCQs, you need not provide any reasoning, and that saves your time also. So when you are doing the time management, or you are allocating time for each question for MCQ portion, okay, for MCQ portion, you need to allocate a lesser time. Then a more important point is that for MCQs, there is no negative marking. So you need not worry about while answering the MCQs, even if you suppose at the end of the paper, you have very less time left and you have MCQs to answer, then also please mark some or the other option because it does not have any negative marking at present. And every MCQ carries 2 marks out of, except one which carries 1 mark. And only one option is correct because sometimes in some other examination you will see that multi-correct option MCQs are also there. But in ICAI question paper, we have only single correct MCQ. So only one option will be correct out of the 4 options. You need not provide any reasoning for the MCQs. That is one point. Regarding MCQs, these points I have already discussed with you. All are compulsory, no choices there, no negative marking is there, no reasoning is required. And all MCQs are 2 markers except one question which will be having 1 mark. Now, these are the academic resources. Just have a quick glance at it and go through it because this is also important. Though I am very sure that most of you would be referring these materials already. Study material is the base which you all would be referring. The quiz time questions in study material, which gives you quite a lot of conceptual clarity. Don't leave that because you generally go through test your knowledge questions as well as examples, illustrations. But quiz time MCQs will give you a lot of clarity in your concepts. So for the examination, most important thing is conceptual clarity. For that quiz time questions, please do not leave them. If you have any doubt in them, please write to us. We'll clarify your doubt because generally students have lot many doubts in quiz time questions. They're not able to solve them accurately in the first instance because they have some tricky points in them. So those points can come for exam also. They can be relevant for examination. So please refer them. Case scenario booklet, very important booklet. You know that the revised case scenario booklet has been issued for May 26 examination. All questions have been updated as per the position of law applicable for May 26, and additional questions have also been incorporated. So please refer new questions for practice as well as the earlier questions which have been updated. If you have already seen the earlier booklet, don't forget to see this booklet also. See the additional questions plus also refer the updated questions because this will help you in knowing the updated position of law. Then revision test papers, we'll try to discuss few questions of revision test papers today so that you have a, because new questions have been asked there and you should have a clarity there that how they have to be answered. Suggested answers, why suggested answers are important? To give you an idea of the presentation because we generally adopt the manner of presentation in suggested answers as we suggest to the students for the examination. So whatever presentation is suggested for any question, that is generally adopted in the suggested answer. So that helps you in practicing the questions as well as in knowing the presentation also. Because in taxation papers, you know that suggested answers will be based on the position of law applicable for that particular examination. So for example, January 26 examination paper, if you refer that, then you should know that this was based on Finance Act 24 and notifications and circulars till 30th June 2025. Whereas for May 26 examination, you have Finance Act 25, which is applicable, as well as notifications and circulars applicable are till 31st October 2025. So applicability is different. So that you have to keep in mind while referring to the questions and their answers. But you can refer the presentation, that how you are presenting your answers. That you can get a very good idea of how to present your answers from the suggested answers. Suppose you have to take the assumptions, then how that assumption has to be written, how, I mean, what type of questions, what type of assumptions are generally required in the questions, that you get a fair idea from the suggested answers. And last but not the least, mock test papers. I hope all of you must have attempted the mock test papers. Those of you who are yet to attempt them, please try to attempt them in examination-like conditions. Keep 3 hours separately for these papers. Sit at one point, try to create exam-like conditions that you will not get involved in any other activity. You will sit at one place, you will keep a 3 hours timer and attempt the paper. The kind of clarity and time management you will learn in the mock test papers attempted in exam-like conditions is unparalleled. You will be able to get to know the areas where you still have to improve, plus how you will be managing time in exam. What are the areas where you are lacking? Or this problem, the kind of problems which you are facing while managing time in the exam, that also you will get an idea beforehand. So please try to attempt at least one mock test paper or otherwise both the series of mock test papers in exam-like conditions. And last but not the least is Saransh. Saransh is very important. That has been updated for May 26 examination. Updated Saransh for paper 3B is available. Please refer the same. That will also help you in revising day before exam. But yes, how do you have to use Saransh? That I will tell you when I will be giving you the exam tips, revision tips before the examination. I will tell you how this Saransh can be used at that point of time effectively. In fact, section and skill-wise weightage, I think all of you would be aware. If in any case, any of you who doesn't know about section-wise weightage, please let me know in the chat box, because then I will discuss it. Otherwise, I think most of you are aware of it. Anybody who doesn't know about section-wise weightage? Okay, I think all of you are aware of it. So we'll just have a glance at it. I just want to give you an idea of section-wise weightage and why I'm asking you. Okay, okay, Kuldeep is saying he knows. Good, Kuldeep, you know. I think all other also know. Lingaraju is saying, please tell us again. Okay, I will quickly take you through section-wise weightage because that is very important while revising also. Some students might feel कि that is important for preparation. जब preparation करनी है तो जो section की higher weightage है उसको हम ज़्यादा time देंगे और जिसकी कम weightage है उस पर हम थोड़ा सा कम focus करते हैं. That is one of the points. Though I always say that you have to read each and everything for the examination, but for the other, I want to say other sections which have lower weightage, for that also you have to focus equally. But when I say about revision, revision also should be sequenced in the manner, in the decreasing order of the weightage. So section which has a higher weightage should be revised first. Section which has a lower weightage comparatively should be revised afterwards. So this is the sequence which you should follow while revising also. उस जिस section की weightage high है उसको पहले revise करोगे आप पूरे concepts उसके अच्छे thoroughly you will revise them and then in the decreasing order of the weightage. Yes. So Mathili is saying, shall I attend first GST part? After that, shall I attend income tax part or no? There is no compulsion, Mathili, that you have to first of all attempt income tax and then GST. It's up to you. You have two sections with you, GST as well as income tax. So if you are more comfortable in GST, then you should attempt first of all the GST portion. As far as I know, there are separate answer booklets for GST as well as income tax. So you can take out that booklet of GST portion and start attempting that. Once you complete GST and you have full confidence that yes, you have attempted it well, then you can go for the income tax portion. Same is for the MCQs also. I think you have an OMR sheet which you have to fill. So if you feel you want to first of all do MCQs for both the portions, that also you can do. But try to attempt first in the beginning of the examination, that portion where you are more confident. This is the key for performing better in the exam. That always start with that section where you have higher confidence, where you have a better preparation and the questions which you know the best. That should be your first question. Okay, so you got it, Matthew. Good. Now let us quickly go through the section-wise weightage. Now I will show you the section-wise weightage. I hope that is visible to you all. Now what I want to highlight here is, see this particular section. This is section 2. And if you see the weightage, this is a very, very considerably high weightage, 50 to 80%. So that means when I'm saying a section carries 50 to 80% weightage in your examination, So this is for sure that half of your paper, at least half of your paper will be based from these topics. So you can understand how important these topics are when you are revising for exam. First of all, you have to cover these topics. You have to be very thorough in these topics. When you are preparing for the examination, then also these topics should be given the priority. This is very obvious. जो topics आपकी इतनी हाई वेटेज रखते हैं, 50% पेपर आपका इसी सेक्शन से आएगा, तो आप इस सेक्शन को थरली बहुत फोकस के साथ प्रिपेयर करोगे और फोकस के साथ ही उसको रिवाइज करोगे. What this section consists of? This section consists of the core provisions, substantive provisions of GST. Now, when I say substantive provisions, that means based on these provisions, the entire law of GST revolves around. So these are the core provisions of GST. And once you know these provisions, you can attempt any kind of GST decision. You can take GST decisions based on them. Next section is the procedural section. Once you have decided your GST liability, you know that yes, you have to pay this much amount of GST, then you have to go for other things. How you have to pay, which returns you have to fulfill, what type of accounts you need to maintain, what kind of invoice you have to issue. All these procedural aspects come afterwards, only except registration, because that is the first stepping stone of GST, that you have to take registration. After that, all core provisions come into picture. So, levy of GST, if I talk about the chapters of study material, then which are the chapters which are most important? सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट चैप्टर्स स्टडी मटेरियल के कौन से हैं? तो उसमें सबसे पहले आपका आता है सप्लाई का चैप्टर, दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. चार्ज ऑफ जीएसटी, प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई, टाइम एंड वैल्यू ऑफ सप्लाई, exemptions from GST and input tax credit. कुछ बच्चे ऐसा भी बोलेंगे कि मैडम आपने सब कुछ कवर कर दिया, ये तो सबसे यही ज्यादा कोर है जीएसटी का. बट ये भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि ये आपका 50% तो आएगा ही आएगा आपके पेपर में. इट कैन गो अप टू 80%, बट जनरली 60-70% पेपर आपका इस सेक्शन में से होता है. तो you can understand that how important this section is and how many questions would be asked from this particular section. तो ये सारे provisions आपको बहुत thoroughly आने चाहिए for the forthcoming examination. Kuldeep is asking, mock test paper last month, it appears that case scenario reading consumes more time if attempted first. Okay, कुलदीप का ऐसा सोचना है कि जब mock test paper attempt किया कुलदीप ने, तो उन्हें ऐसा लगा कि if you read the questions of the case scenario or you read the scenario plus then questions, it takes a lot of time, and then so he feels that MCQ portion will take a lot of time in reading the question. Though you do not have to give reasoning, we do not have to, don't have to write the reasoning, so that saves some time. But reading of the question takes a lot of time. So that is there, Kuldeep, that if you practice from case scenario booklet, such type of questions, I can assure you that if you start doing at least 1 or 2 scenarios per day, because still you have 15 days left with you, if you do 2 scenarios per day for taxation, one maybe for income tax, one for GST, if you do it this way, then also that will improve your, increase your speed of reading the scenarios, or increase the speed of reading the facts of the case and relating them with the questions. ये जो केस सिनेरियो वाला जो पॉइंट है ना, केस सिनेरियो में प्रैक्टिस या जो आपका रिपीटेड उस एक्सरसाइज को जब आप करते रहोगे, तो योर रीडिंग हैबिट विल इंप्रूव और योर रीडिंग स्पीड विल इंप्रूव. दैट विल हेल्प यू इन द एग्जामिनेशन. Second, now one is reading the case scenario. Second thing is marking the correct answers. Now for that, what can expedite that? Your conceptual understanding. If you have thorough conceptual understanding, then your case scenario attempt time that will reduce. अगर आपकी conceptual understanding अच्छी है, आपकी reading speed थोड़ी आपने improve कर ली है by practicing, then you will spend lesser time in MCQ portion. But MCQ portion को attempt करने का key यही है that you have to practice and you do not try to attempt it directly in the examination. Many students, what they follow in MCQ, the approach which they follow is they study same, as I already told you, same manner of study is required. So what they do is they do same kind of preparation for both the portions, descriptive as well as MCQs, and directly they try to attempt MCQs in the examination. So that takes them, they take a lot of time for attempting the MCQs also, and they feel that we have not saved any time after all. At the end, we have not end up saving time in MCQs. That did not happen with us, but that did not happen because that reading practice was not there, and some problem is there in the conceptual understanding. If these two things are there, correct with you, or they are right with you, then you will be able to attempt the questions in a speedy manner. In MCQs, you will save the time also. So please try to practice your MCQ scenario from the scenario booklet. Start practicing today itself. You still have time to practice till the examinations. Yes, because Kuldeep, you're right that pressure builds up with passing minute. Because when you start attempting your MCQs and you feel that I will save time in MCQs, and in fact, instead of saving time, you are devoting more time towards MCQs, then that pressure starts building. So that should not happen. And if you want that not to happen, for that, you should start practicing your MCQs today itself. Please start at least that will take you 15, maybe 10 to 15 minutes with answers, with seeing the reasons also. So at least one scenario from each of the paper or whatever paper you have at present in your hand for revising, start revising their MCQs also side by side, because by this time, most of the concepts you would have revised, you can do the integrated case scenarios also, and you will be able to attempt them. So start practicing them. That will help you. Yes. So I hope that clears your doubt. Now, Himanshika is asking, is it true that in case scenario, reading the question of that case scenario first helps to solve that easily or speedily? Yes, Himanshika, that is very true. Though everybody has their own approach, I have seen some people suggesting that you straight away go to the questions and then go to the scenario and start finding out, try to find out the answers. But I think that is a half-hearted approach for attempting any question. The correct approach is quickly have a glance at the scenario and read it quickly, then go to the questions, read the questions. Now, after reading the questions, you will be able to identify the facts that answer to this question is would be probably in this particular para or in this particular sentence the answer lies. So try to locate the paras to which answer to a particular question lies. Try to identify those facts, underline them, mark those facts, and then try to identify the provisions of law that you have to apply for arriving answer of this particular question, and then you will be able to answer that question. So after reading the scenario, then only you should go to the question. That is what I feel is the correct way. If you are straight away going to the question and you are trying to answer the question after seeing the question, you go to the after seeing the question, that means MCQs. After seeing the MCQs, you go to the scenario, then you will not be able to arrive at the correct answer. In most of the questions you will have some doubt. This is the question, but which is the area where I have to see for correct answer? So correct approach is first have a quick reading of the scenario, then go through the questions, and then again go back to the scenario for locating the answers as well as identify the relevant provision of law. You will be able to arrive at the correct answer, and then you can mark the correct answer and be very, very specific in marking the answers. I have heard some students that they finally mark the wrong answer, though they have arrived at the correct answer. But while marking the answers in the OMR sheet, sometimes students end up marking wrong answer. So you have arrived at the correct answer, you have spent your time, but then also you mark the wrong answer, which gave you, which actually led to losing marks in the MCQs. So Karthik, I think, had raised the hand, but then Karthik, if you have any query, you can ask. Okay, Karthik is saying I can't, you can't switch on your mic. Karthik, you can write your query or I will allow you to unmute. Before that, I have faced 3-4 problems during preparation. Okay, you want to ask the queries which you have or problem which you have during preparation. Okay, just can we unmute Karthik for the यहाँ से कर सकते हैं ना? Okay. Yes, Karthik.
Hello, good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, during preparation, I have written three, four problems which I face. Can I ask one by one?
You can ask.
मैम हाँ, इन इनकम टैक्स एक्ट में जैसे मैम हम अगर हमें सेक्शन याद नहीं आता तो हम ये लिख सकते हैं कि एज पर सेक्शन ऑफ इनकम टैक्स एक्ट 1961। मैम पर जीएसटी में सीजीएसटी एक्ट, एसजीएसटी और आईजीएसटी है, तो मैम
क्या
मुझे
लिखेंगे?
ये नहीं।
सीजीएसटी लिखें कि आईजीएसटी लिखें या
हाँ,
एसजीएसटी लिख दें?
यस मैम।
पहली बात, ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट कार्तिक आपने क्वेश्चन पूछा। इनफैक्ट ये बहुत सारे बच्चों का और भी क्वेश्चन होगा या नहीं भी है, तो उन्होंने अभी तक सोचा नहीं कि ये प्रॉब्लम आ सकती है। वेरी गुड कुलदीप। कुलदीप हैज आंसर्ड, यू विल राइट एज पर जीएसटी लॉज, आप लिख सकते हो। और एक और चीज है, अगर आपको कुछ भी याद नहीं आता तो आपको कुछ भी लिखने की जरूरत नहीं है, जस्ट स्ट्रेट अवे राइट दी प्रोविजन, because we do not expect our students to keep memorizing sections, rules, notifications, and circulars. At the intermediate level, we do not expect them. In fact, at the final level also, it is not a compulsion कि आपको section लिखना ही लिखना है, उसके marks हैं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. Our focus is on understanding the provision and applying it in the question paper or in the examination. We do not want you to keep focusing on sections, rules, notifications, circulars. No, we do not want that. And that is, every student should get it clear that you need not remember or memorize sections, rules, notifications, circulars. आप repeated जब preparation करते हो तो you tend to remember certain sections. Section 7 है, 15 है, 12, 13, 16
Yes, ma'am.
section. These are certain
17
sections which will
close
be there
5.
in your which will be there in your memory, which will be imbibed in your memory. क्योंकि आप इतनी बार पढ़ते हो सेक्शन 7 तो हर स्टूडेंट को पता होगा, कोई भी स्टूडेंट ऐसा नहीं होगा जिसको नहीं पता होगा, जीएसटी का कोई स्टूडेंट अगर है तो ये आपको जितने सेक्शंस बहुत अच्छे से आते हैं, यू कैन राइट इट इन दी एग्जाम. अब सेक्शन लिखते हुए भी कुछ बच्चे कंफ्यूज हो सकते हैं कि ये सीजीएसटी का है कि एसजीएसटी का है. सेक्शन तो याद है लेकिन ये याद नहीं है आपकी
Yes, ma'am.
सीजीएसटी का है आईजीएसटी का है. तो उसके लिए आपको चलो मैं थोड़ा सा बताती हूँ. एसजीएसटी के सेक्शंस तो हमने कहीं बुक में कवर नहीं किए हैं, बट एसजीएसटी के सेक्शन एग्जैक्ट सीजीएसटी के रेप्लिका ही होते हैं, बट वी हैव नॉट कवर्ड एंड यू विल नॉट राइट इन द एग्जाम. आप कहीं भी नहीं लिखोगे दैट सेक्शन 7 ऑफ द एसजीएसटी एक्ट. नो, स्टेट लॉ आपके सिलेबस में ही नहीं है. सिर्फ प्रोविजंस हैं जो हमने कवर किए हैं, वो बिल्कुल रेप्लिका है ऑफ द सेंट्रल एक्ट, तो उसके हिसाब से ही वो चलते हैं. सीजीएसटी ही हमेशा रहेगा. अगर आप देखोगे प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई में सिर्फ आईजीएसटी एक्ट के प्रोविजंस होते हैं. बाकी सारे चैप्टर्स में विच यू आर गोइंग टू रीड इन योर एग्जामिनेशन, सीजीएसटी एक्ट प्रोविजंस विल बी देयर. तो अगर आपको सेक्शन याद है और आप अचानक से एक्ट भूल जाते हैं, क्योंकि हमारे लिए एक लॉ है, आपके लिए बहुत सारे सब्जेक्ट्स हैं, उन बहुत सारे सब्जेक्ट्स में अलग अलग एक्ट्स होते हैं, लॉ में बहुत सारे अलग अलग एक्ट्स हैं. सो यू माइट नॉट रिमेंबर द एग्जैक्ट law under which that section is there. So for ease, you should know that place of supply provisions are contained in Integrated Goods and Services Tax Act, IGST Act. Otherwise, all other sections, you will find that they are prominent sections, they pertain to the CGST Act. और उसके
Okay,
अलावा
ma'am.
भी, as I already focused, you need not memorize the sections, rules. पहले provision अच्छे से लिखना है. If you write section 7 in your answer, but that I will give you an example also of that. That is very, very good example of knowing that writing section is not the best presentation which we can give to our answer. In fact, it is the provision which you have to write, which you have to reflect or you have to produce in your answer for arriving at the correct answer. आप section लिख दोगे किसी question में और आपको provision बिल्कुल नहीं पता, section याद है कि ये section पे based है, so that will not fetch you full marks. But if you write the provision and you don't remember the section, that will help you in fetching full marks. So that is what I want to say. Don't keep or shift your whole focus on memorizing the sections rules. Please focus on the provisions and understanding the provisions first. You can write it in your own language. Sometimes students feel कि अपनी language में लिखने से marks deduct हो गए. ये बहुत common problem है, which many students write कि I have been given lesser marks because I wrote the sections or provisions in my own language. So please students mark it, or please understand that this is not because you have written it in your own words. No, when you are writing it in your own words, sometimes its meaning gets changed. That you don't have to do. So it does not mean कि same language लिखनी है. आपको इतनी अगर लैंग्वेज पे कमांड है कि आप अपनी लैंग्वेज में लिख के भी उसको समझा सकते हैं सेम मीनिंग को, देन इट्स एज गुड एज राइटिंग द सेम लैंग्वेज. सो you can write it in your own words, but its meaning should remain the same. That you will also accept that if you are writing it in your own words, then if meaning gets changed, then obviously you will not be given marks. Yes, आगे पूछिए आपका क्या क्वेरी है.
मैम मेरा सेकंड था कि मतलब जो प्रोविजंस में हम लिखते हैं वो फॉर्मेट के इन दी फॉर्मेट लिखना है हमें, लाइक वन एंट्री एंड फिर उसके बाद उसका प्रोविजन.
दोनों प्रेजेंटेशंस चलती हैं कार्तिक. अगर मतलब दिस इज रेलेवेंट फॉर ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स, ये तो प्रेजेंटेशन से रिलेटेड ही है. प्रेजेंटेशन से रिलेटेड मैं भी कुछ क्वेश्चंस लूंगी, तो उसमें भी आपको कुछ पॉइंट्स बताऊंगी. अभी आप दोनों तरह से लिख सकते हो प्रेजेंटेशन. आपने एक टेबल बनाई, उसमें आपने एंट्रीज जितनी भी थी, जितनी आउटवर्ड सप्लाईज थी, जितनी इनवर्ड सप्लाईज थी, सब आपने अपना जो भी आपने रिस्पेक्टिव टेबल बनाई, एक आउटपुट टैक्स पेबल की टेबल होती है. आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द फर्स्ट compulsory
Yes,
question
ma'am.
which generally has this type of problem. Then you will compute ITC also. For that you will have a separate table. If you see the suggested answers, most of the time in suggested answers for GST, I can tell you that you will generally find that one supply is given and the respective reason is given in the bracket in that particular cell.
Yes, ma'am. उसकी वजह से आंसर बहुत फिर लॉन्ग हो जाता है.
हाँ, but if you are not comfortable with that kind of presentation, you want to give it as notes after the table, that also you can do. But reasoning is most important. अगर आपने सिर्फ सप्लाईज लिख के उनका टैक्स निकाल दिया, and finally you set off the ITC from the GST output GST payable, then you will get very less marks because जो reasoning है उसके अपने specific weightage होती है, marks weightage होती है उसकी, that carries marks. So explanatory notes or reasoning is the foremost thing in any computational question. Please mark it. सेकेंड थिंग, अब उसको लिखने का तरीका आप दोनों तरीके से लिख सकते हो, आप उसको टेबल में ही रीजनिंग लिख सकते हो, ये भी हो सकता है. सेकेंड इज यू कैन मेक नोट्स एट द एंड ऑफ द क्वेश्चन ऑल्सो. आपने सारी आउटवर्ड सप्लाईज ली, सबके ऊपर टैक्स निकाल के कंप्यूट करके शो कर दिया टेबल में, एंड आफ्टर द टेबल यू हैव सम नोट्स. यू कैन राइट द नोट्स सपोर्टिंग द ट्रीटमेंट विच यू हैव गिवन इन द टेबल. Any supply, why you have taken it in the outward supply, why you have computed GST at a particular rate, and what is the place of supply for that, why you have taken IGST, you have applied IGST, why not CGST, SGST, all those reasons you can write in the notes, in the form of notes below the table. So that is up to you. How do you want to present it? That is not a foolproof way that writing in the table is more appropriate or giving notes after the end of the table is more appropriate. Both of them carry equal weightage. But yes, reasoning is very, very important. So please ensure that you provide reasoning for all the questions which you are attempting, all computational questions. In
मैम
theory
फॉर
also, you will give the
एग्जांपल
reasoning.
सर्विस प्रोवाइडेड बाय चैरिटेबल ट्रस्ट, तो मैम इसमें रीजनिंग और प्रोविजन क्या होगा?
सर्विस प्रोवाइडेड बाय चैरिटेबल ट्रस्ट, आप कहना चाहते हो 12AB का जो चैरिटेबल ट्रस्ट जो रजिस्टर्ड
यस
है,
मैम.
and that you want to say that it is exempt supply. So that, but
हम्म.
that will be exempt only when it is providing services by way of charitable activities. This is, you are talking about that entry only, entry one.
यस मैम.
Talking about exemption. Chalo, let's see. You're talking about exemption entry, which says that services provided by a charitable trust registered under Section 12AB of the Income Tax Act by way of charitable activities. You want to give that. Now, some charitable trust receipts are given to you, and you have to show that yes, it is exempt. So, in that case, you have to tell that yes, these um, receipts are exempt since they are these services are provided by way of charitable activities. Now, the question would be providing something to you, some information. For example, कोई yoga camp है या कोई advancement of yoga religion, whatever charitable activities की definition में बहुत सारी चीजें हैं. Yoga, some skill development or skill enhancement activities are being conducted. So that you have to identify that yes, these activities qualify as charitable activities. They are being provided by a charitable trust. So then you have to mention these are exempt since they are being provided by a charitable trust by way of charitable services, by way of charitable activities are being provided by a charitable trust. So they
सो
are
मैम लाइक वो जो अमाउंट की वो रीजनिंग होगी एग्जाम, वो मैं नरेशन की तरह लिख सकता हूँ, एंड देन वो जो प्रोविजन होगा वो मैं नोट्स फॉर्मेट के बाद लिख सकता
दोनों
हूँ.
चीजें एक ही है. नरेशन, रीजनिंग सब एक ही है.
ओह.
आपको मैं एक सजेस्टेड आंसर एग्जाम का खोल के दिखा देती हूँ. ठीक है, इतने आप अपनी क्वेरीज पूछते रहो, मैं इतने सजेस्टेड
हाँ
आंसर में आपको
मैम, और
दिखाती
सेकंड क्वेरी में
हूँ.
सजेस्टेड आंसर में लाइक जब मैं कर रहा था तो
हम्म.
उसमें मैं लिख रहा था रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन, बट
हम्म.
इन सजेस्टेड आंसर लिखा हुआ था कि अदर देन अनरजिस्टर्ड. तो मैम इसमें कुछ
अदर देन
प्रॉब्लम
अनरजिस्टर्ड
होगी?
जरूर किसी से हो सकता है रिवर्स चार्ज की कोई एंट्री हो जहां पर ये लिखा हो कि अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन के केस में आपको आरसीएम लगता है, लेकिन यहाँ पे अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन के केस में आरसीएम लगता है, यहाँ पे रजिस्टर्ड था. तो हमने उसको स्ट्रेस करने के लिए, बिकॉज वी वांट टू स्ट्रेस कि दिस वाज अदर देन अनरजिस्टर्ड, मतलब ये अनरजिस्टर्ड नहीं था, इस वजह से यहाँ पर ये पर्टिकुलर प्रोविजन एप्लीकेबल नहीं है. दैट इज वाई दिस टर्म माइट हैव बीन यूज्ड. नाउ लेट मी शो यू वन ऑफ द आंसर्स. And in the meantime, any other student, if they want to ask any query, I hope this is answering your presentation related queries, other students also. And before going to the next point, I will also give you some presentation related tips at this point only. Let me come to the GST portion straight away so that I can show you. Yes.
No, ma'am.
This is the
Further by
first
my
question.
last query is just is
Hmm.
that in the during the chapters exemption, RCM, place of supply, there is common transaction like bill to ship to model, GTS service, work contract service. मैम इन सब सर्विस में सारे चैप्टर्स की एडजस्टमेंट्स है अलग अलग.
Confusion हो जाती है.
नो मैम, आई बाइफरकेट दिस. अगर इनके अलावा कोई अदर देन सर्विसेज है लाइक बिल टू शिप टू मॉडल में प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई, आईटीसी सब कवर्ड है, एंड जीटी और वर्क कॉन्ट्रैक्ट में भी. इनके अलावा अदर देन अगर कोई और सर्विसेज हो.
बहुत सारी सर्विसेज होंगी इनके अलावा, तो आप
नहीं,
ऐसे.
कॉमन सर्विस मैम, जैसे बिल टू शिप टू मॉडल में
देखो
प्लेस
प्लेस
ऑफ
ऑफ
सप्लाई
सप्लाई
भी
में अगर आप
इंक्लूड
बात
होता है।
करोगे तो आप पहले गुड्स पे जाओगे। गुड्स में यू हैव डिफरेंट 5 केसेस। वहां पे अलग अलग केसेस हैं। पहले एक आपने सिंपल केस बताया जहां पे आपने गुड्स को सप्लाई किया और मूवमेंट ऑफ गुड्स टर्मिनेटेड एट सम प्लेस। देन यू हैव बिल टू शिप टू। देन यू हैव कमिश्निंग, कि आपने कहीं पे इंस्टॉलेशन किया है गुड्स को, तो उस केस में कैसे निकलेगा। किसी
यस मैम।
अनरजिस्टर्ड पर्सन को दिया है, दैट इज अ डिफरेंट केस। ये मैं भी सिर्फ प्लेस ऑफ सप्लाई की बात कर रही हूँ। फिर देन यू हैव द जहां पे आपने ऑन बोर्ड किया गुड्स को, when you are boarding the goods at some during movement in some conveyance. Similarly we have section 12 for services, जहाँ पे services के आपके पास special 12 के मतलब अलग अलग 12 cases हैं, where you have specific place of supply in specific situations, and then we have a residual rule which says place of supply of the recipient. These are different cases in place of supply itself. टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई में भी इसी तरह चलेगा, गुड्स का अलग, सर्विसेज का अलग चलेगा। एग्जेम्पशंस की बात करें तो हेल्थ केयर, एजुकेशन, then we have the legal services, agriculture services. This is for benefit of all. Please, everybody listen to them. Don't feel that this is the query of Karthik. These queries will help you because these will be your queries also, I think. सो अगर आप एग्जाम्पशंस की बात करते हैं तो एग्जाम्पशन में बेसिक जो मेजर सर्विसेज हैं जिनको आपको इन डेप्थ पढ़ना है, तो वो कौन सी है। सबसे पहली तो आपकी चैरिटेबल एक्टिविटीज वाली सर्विस है, उसमें काफी सारी एंट्रीज कवर हो जाती हैं। देन वी हैव एग्रीकल्चर रिलेटेड सर्विसेज, एंड इफ यू सी दी स्टडी मटेरियल वी हैव बाइफरकेटेड दी सर्विसेज दिस वे ओनली। Services provided by the government, services provided to the government, they also have separate categories and there also several entries gets clubbed. General insurance business, health insurance business, life insurance, there also we have different categories and different entries are being clubbed there. Legal services, very very important. Healthcare services, education related services, these are very important services. Please go through them very thoroughly because ये आपको जनरली मिलेंगे। एजुकेशन रिलेटेड आप देखोगे पूरे पूरे क्वेश्चंस होते हैं बेस्ड उस पे, और जिसपे आपको सिर्फ एजुकेशन की जो एंट्री 66 है वो बहुत अच्छे से आनी चाहिए, एंड देन यू विल बी एबल टू आंसर देम. So that is how we categorize them. So I hope that answers your question also. See, this is how you have to present it. I have mentioned supply of taxable goods to Mr. Sudhir. So here you have to mention that it is an intrastate supply because place of supply is this. And this is how reasoning has been provided. You will see that nowhere we have given these section numbers, rule numbers, or notification circulars. Nowhere. We have just tried to provide the reason just to give you an idea कि आपको सिर्फ सेक्शन और सिर्फ प्रोविजन पे फोकस करना है। सेक्शन का नंबर अगर आपको आता है तो इट गिव्स एन एज टू योर आंसर, डेफिनेटली इट गिव्स एन एज टू योर आंसर, यू शुड मेंशन दैट, बट अदरवाइज दिस इज हाउ यू हैव टू प्रोवाइड द आंसर। नाउ कार्तिक की क्वेरी थी कि पहले मैं प्रोविजन ऊपर नरेशन ऊपर लिखूंगा प्रोविजन नीचे लिखूंगा। नहीं कार्तिक, आपको एक ही जगह पे पूरा रीजनिंग लिखनी है। रीजनिंग मीन्स you have to write the provision and how that provision is applicable in your answer. That is the complete reasoning. We try to mention it in a very precise manner, very crisp manner, so that in examination you generally don't have time to give elaborate reasoning, and that is not expected from students also. You have to give very crisp reasoning, but all the reasoning should come in the answer. So I hope that answers your query. So
यस
can we
मैम।
move ahead now?
यस, थैंक यू मैम।
Thank you, Karthik. Now see, so most important section we have talked about is the substantive provisions. Substantive provisions, everybody please go through them. Please be very thorough in them. You will be getting lot many questions from that particular section. And now the next section is which has the second highest weightage, that is the procedural part. So registration, tax invoice, accounts records, payment of tax, and returns. This is the second section which has the procedural law. So after that, you have to refer to these provisions. And then comes the basic concepts of GST or introduction part, that is chapter 1, that is GST in India and introduction. That has a weightage of 0 to 5%. So accordingly, you have to keep time for revision also. When you are revising your concepts, then also this sequence has to be followed. This is the scale-wise weightage that you can refer. That most of the questions are analysis and application based, and some questions are directly theory-based questions. Now we come to the most important section of this session, that is commonly committed errors. That contains the questions that here you will get an idea how you have to present your answers and what are the errors which students generally commit, which you do not have to commit. So that I will take in some of the technical questions also, that this error which generally students commit. First of all, the computational problems. Now in computational problem, as I already discussed at length, that reasoning has to be given. I have shown you an example also that how reasoning has to be given can be referred from the suggested answers, as well as I have taken an example to show you that how we generally present the answers. What is the wrong way of presenting? What is the right way of presenting? So this is a question which requires the computation of value of supply. Okay. Now value of supply by Vayu Limited has to be computed, and it has these 5 items. So let us see how this has been presented by some student, which is not the correct way of presenting. See, what he has done is he has mentioned all the items, though his answer is technically correct. Technically, his answer is correct, but how he has presented it wrong. So I will not go into the technicality of this question, though if anybody has any doubt in any of the entries, he can ask. But I am focusing here more on presentation, that this is the question where you have to compute value of supply, and you have taken the price, you have added special packing, duty, municipal taxes, and you got the value of taxable supply. Subsidy was not required to be added because it was already includable and it had to be included. So it was not given any treatment. Subsidy was not subsidy plus CGST and SGST charged separately. These 2 items, 4 and 5, did not require any treatment, or they did not impact the value of taxable supply. So how the student has computed it is, he has just taken these 3 values, he has added them, and he arrived at the correct answer. Now, first fault or first mistake. Now this student has given the notes also, proper notes has been given. In fact, he has mentioned sections also, which he could have avoided, but he has given the sections also, he has given proper explanatory notes. But the mistake committed by this student, can any of you mention in the chat box that what mistake has been committed in this particular question? I'm trying to minimize it so that entire answer can come on your screen. Don't go into the technical aspect of this particular answer. Technically, this answer is correct. But what is the presentation error which he has committed? He had list price, packing, municipal taxes, CGST and SGST, and subsidy. Subsidy and CGST and SGST charge was not impacting the value of supply. Now, this is the answer which the student has provided. What is the error which presentation wise, what error he has committed? Please let me know. Yes, Kuldeep, your answer is correct. You have given the correct reasoning. Jaya, yes. Subsidy plus CGST and SGST also. Any more answers from any of you? Kuldeep, you're saying tax calculation method shall be given in the same column. I didn't get you what you want to say. Yes. So let us see. I have got few answers also, that he has shown all the items. Okay, for previous question you were saying, yes, tax computation had to be shown in the same column, but you can give the reasoning in any of the ways. So these 2 items, CGST and SGST charge and subsidy. So GST plus subsidy, these 2 items were given in the question. They were not impacting the answer. So this student has not taken them in his answer. He has nowhere mentioned any reason why he is not taking GST, CGST and SGST while computing value. He has not given reason for not considering subsidy in this particular question. That is fine that you will not consider it while arriving at the answer. But reason for the same is very, very important. You have to mention it. So correct way is that you have to mention it this way, that CGST and SGST charge note 2, you will mention here that taxes, duties under any law for the timing in force other than CGST, SGST and IGST are includable in value. Since it is CGST and SGST itself, so this will not be included in the value. So this way, either you can show it in manner like you can show that these 2 entries are blank, they are not added in the value, or you could have not, if you did not mention it here also, then also it's fine. But then you have to explicitly mention that CGST and SGST charge has not been considered in taxable value of taxable supply because of this particular reason. Subsidy has not been considered because subsidy was already included, and subsidy price link subsidy received from NGO has to be included only, and it is already includable, so not considered in computing value of taxable supply. This is the correct way of answering it. Now, one more point I will show you. I will tell you in this particular question. These notes are given along with each line. Yes, these notes have to be given Maithili for each line item. any line item which does not affect your answer, then also you have to mention the reason for not taking it into consideration while computing the answer. You cannot ignore it that this is of no use to me, so I will not mention any reason for this. No, you have to mention the reason for the same while arriving at the answer. If same is given as footnote and as point 3, then correct present. Kuldeep, footnote, if you say in our Word files, I understand footnote as something which is not part of the main text. That is footnote. If you are saying footnote as you want to say that I have mentioned reasons in the table itself, and these two reasons because CGST and SGST charge plus subsidy, I'm not considering in the main answer, I'm giving it as part of the notes, then it is fine. That is also the correct way of presenting it. So that is not an issue. Okay, so I hope this gives you an idea. Now let us come to one more wrong type of presentation. Now see this student, what he has done, he has taken all the items, all the line items have been taken, plus these two items which are not part of your answer or which are not affecting your answer have also been considered in the main answer. So till that extent it is fine. But when it comes to the, when it comes to providing the reasoning, let me take only this answer, otherwise you will get confused it with the other answer. Okay. Yes. So this is the only answer which he has given. He has not given any reasons at all. No reasons have been given. So that is why this is not a correct answer. We have taken it to be a wrong answer because only providing, doing it till this extent will not give you full marks. Your reasoning has quite high weightage. So you will be getting very less marks in this particular question. If it carries 5 marks, then you will be getting only 2.5 marks or maybe less than that. Similarly, other student, what he has done, he has given section numbers. Now he has done everything correct, but for reasoning, when it came to reasoning, he has given only section numbers as the reasons. So he has not mentioned that why special packing has been included. Since it is an incidental expense, it has been included in the value of supply. Instead of that, he has simply mentioned section 15.2. Now somebody might feel that this is very good way of writing the reasons, that he has given the sections. Now he knows the section, so he should be awarded full marks. Why marks have been deducted only for mentioning section? No, because we want reasons. If you are giving section, that is fine, but give the provision which that section contains, why this special packing has been added, why duty levied by local authority, because these are taxes other than GST, CGST, SGST, and IGST, and they are includable in value of supply. So that reason you have to mention to get full marks. That is how reasoning has to be mentioned. Reasoning cannot only be section. That is not the proper way of writing the reasons. So I hope that makes it clear to you all that how you have to present your practical or computational questions. Few other examples also I want to show you that this also comes in presentation. J Limited Gujarat sold its old godown used for the purposes of its business. Stamp duty value was 14 lakhs. Now, maybe you might not be able to, some of you might get to the provisions of reversal or something. Don't go into that. Simple, you know that old godown which has been sold, GST is payable or not, that you know. Now tell me why this presentation is wrong.
Ma'am, maybe it covered under negative supply.
Yes, absolutely correct. Who told this reason?
Karthik.
So others also can write in chat box. Jaya is saying reason is not there. Jaya, see, reasoning is given here. Okay, still I'm saying it's wrong. Why? Because sale of building, this is part of Schedule 3. Now, when I say Schedule 3, that means that particular supply or activity, that particular activity is not supply per se. That is neither supply of goods nor supply of services. And what reason I have mentioned here is, or you can say the student has mentioned here is, he has written that it is exempt under GST. Now, very conveniently, we consider everything to be same, or we interchangeably use them. I feel that GST is not deviable, or GST is not chargeable on a particular activity. I can mention it exempt, or GST rate is nil, or GST is nil. That is not a correct reason. So you can see that you have to be conceptually correct. And that is where I'm once again stressing upon that why you need to focus more on the concepts of the core provisions, the concept of supply, schedule 1, 2, and 3, then exemption entries, because you should know that a particular transaction is not subject to GST. Ultimate treatment is that it is not subject to GST, or GST is not payable on this particular transaction. But reason can be different. One reason can be it is not a supply because consideration was not there, or it was not in course or furtherance of business. You know that anything, any activity or transaction to be considered as supply, it has to qualify both business test as well as consideration test. That means any activity or any transaction should be in course or furtherance of business, and it should be for a consideration. These two things should be there. Either one of them is not present, that is why it is not a supply, or it is excluded from the definition of supply by way of schedule 3, by since it is included in schedule 3. That is the reason which is covered here. Another thing, it is leviable to GST, but subsequently it has been exempted from GST by way of a notification, by way of exemption notification. Then you have to mention that reason that it is exempt from GST. So any transaction, any service which is covered under exemption notification, and that is given in your question, then you have to write it is exempt under GST. Otherwise, you have to think of the reason why you are not making any line items subject to GST, or any particular supply not liable to GST. So if GST is not payable on any particular supply, you have to think of the reason first of all, whether it is not a supply per se, that is why GST is not payable, or it was leviable to GST but subsequently exempt under GST by way of notification, that is why GST is not payable. These two things are different. So reasoning also has to be different. See, what will be the correct reason here? Sale of building is neither supply of goods nor supply of services, as it is covered in Schedule 3 of the CGST Act. Thus, sale of godown is not a supply. If anybody has any doubt, please let me know, because I will take this, I will explain through one or more examples. But in the meantime, if you have any doubt, you can let me know. No? So we can move forward. Okay.
Ma'am, in this case, we got numbers, we got marks.
This is up to examiner, I can't say, but reasoning should be correct. If you are mentioning wrong reasoning, then marks will be definitely deducted. Okay, so I hope you understand the importance of giving correct reasoning. What I would suggest is, if you feel that you are not very sure of the reason, then don't mention it, but reasoning should be correct. Mention the correct reason for not for treating a particular supply in a particular manner. Okay. Now, next example. See, J Limited Gujarat sold securities which were purchased at 36 lakh rupees in the month of January. Now, this treatment which the student has done is wrong. So can anybody tell me why is it wrong? Or somebody feels that it is correct, then he can mention that this is correct for this because whatever is mentioned is correct. It can be possible that I have mentioned it wrong. I have mentioned it as incorrect just to confuse you. Both cases can be there. Do you feel that this particular treatment given by student is wrong? And if wrong, why is it wrong? Any answers from any of the students? Okay, I think you did not get the cue, but one thing you all need to note that you have to study the subject in this depth to answer the questions correctly in examination, because many a time students take GST very lightly. They feel that they have to focus on the next other section, that is income tax, because that is very tough and they will not be able to score, and they feel GST is very easy, you will be able to do it. So please pay due and full attention to GST also, or justified attention to GST also, because GST conceptual clarity is very important, and that requires a lot of practice and thorough reading. So let me tell you what is wrong in this particular case. See, now we have just seen two cases. One is the transaction is not supply per se, and second thing is it was supply in the first instance, but it has been exempt subsequently. Okay, so that is why it is not subject to GST, or it is not liable to GST. Now, in this question, this is correct that GST will not be payable on this particular transaction, but we said securities. He has sold securities. Now, if you remember the definition of goods as well as the definition of services, when you started the chapter of supply, I think all of you would have read the definition of supply. And in the definition of supply, before the definition of supply, in fact, you would have read the definition of goods and definition of services. In fact, some of you were there with me when I was taking these sessions in the LVC session also. Kuldeep, Lingaraju, they were there, and some other students can also be there. I'm not able to see the entire participants list which were there. So they would remember that yes, we did the definition of goods and services at length. Just give me a minute. Yes. So Jaya remembers it. Kuldeep also remembers it. Yes. So, okay. Kuldeep, very good to see you that you still remember the mnemonics also, which we did for that DSLR belt. Very, very good. I feel very happy when I see the old students, they know the concept, they still remember them. So it's very overwhelming to see that. So if you remember the definition of goods and services, now DSLR belt said that these were the illustrative forms of supply, 8 illustrative forms of supply, which were their disposal, sale, lease, rent, barter, exchange, then tenancy. So these were the 8 illustrative forms of transfer, sorry, not tenancy, transfer. These were the 8 illustrative forms of supply, which were there in the definition of supply. Definition of supply said the transfer or the supply of goods or services, such as these illustrative forms of supply, DSLR belt, for consideration and for business is supply. So you have to transfer or you have to supply goods or services. Now, in definition of goods as well as in the definition of services, there were 2 exclusions. One was money and other was securities. ये दोनों ही चीजें दोनों डेफिनेशन से बाहर थी. यानी मनी वॉज नीदर गुड्स नॉर सर्विसेज. गुड्स भी नहीं थी, सर्विसेज भी नहीं थी, और सिक्योरिटीज भी गुड्स भी नहीं थे, सर्विसेज भी नहीं थे. दोनों की डेफिनेशन से मनी और सिक्योरिटीज को बाहर कर दिया गया था. जो दो स्टूडेंट्स who have not yet done the chapter of supply thoroughly, or who might have skipped this point, please memorize this particular point, that securities and money, these are the 2 things which are outside the definition of goods, outside the definition of supply. So इस केस में जो रीजनिंग होगी, सिक्योरिटीज, अब मैंने सिक्योरिटीज की कोई ट्रांजेक्शन की, वी हैव सोल्ड सिक्योरिटीज, then that will not be supply, because it is not a supply of goods nor a supply of services. आपको, लेकिन it will not be an item which is covered in schedule 3. To that extent it is wrong. That is why it is neither it is not goods per se, it is neither nor services per se. So you have to give reasoning. Sorry, this is also wrong reasoning, which I have mentioned, that it is exempt from GST. Again, it will be wrong. Correct reasoning: securities are neither goods nor services. सिक्योरिटीज ना तो गुड्स है ना सर्विसेज है, क्योंकि वो गुड्स और सर्विसेज दोनों ही नहीं है, तो सप्लाई की डेफिनेशन से ही बाहर हो जाते हैं. अभी आपको शेड्यूल 3 में आने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. शेड्यूल 3 से पहले ही वो गुड्स और सर्विसेज में क्योंकि नहीं आते हैं, इसीलिए वो सप्लाई नहीं है. सप्लाई ना होने के बहुत सारे कारण हो सकते हैं. वो कंसिडरेशन नहीं है, उनके फ्री ऑफ कॉस्ट दिया जा रहा है और शेड्यूल 1 में भी कवर नहीं होता. इट इज नॉट इन कोर्स और फर्दरेंस ऑफ बिजनेस, और वो इंपोर्ट ऑफ सर्विसेज नहीं है, या फिर वो गुड्स नहीं है, या फिर वो सर्विसेज नहीं है. Any of the 4 reasons can be there, then it will not be considered as supply. और इन सब में है तब भी वो शेड्यूल 3 में आ जाता है, तो भी वो सप्लाई नहीं होता. बट एग्जैक्ट रीजन यू हैव टू सी. तो अगर यहाँ पर आप लिखते हो इट इज नीदर सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स नॉर सप्लाई ऑफ सर्विसेज कवर्ड अंडर शेड्यूल 3, then that will be wrong. शेड्यूल 3 में ये कवर नहीं होता. सिक्योरिटीज इज नॉट देयर इन शेड्यूल 3. Securities is not goods nor services. That is why it is not a supply per se. So I hope that clarifies this doubt, and you all know that something which is not a good nor a service, that cannot be considered as supply. उसमें कोई भी transaction अगर आप करोगे तो वो supply नहीं होगी. This gives you an idea, first thing, that how in depth you have to study the law. Second thing, when you are presenting your answers, what are the mistakes which you commit. अब इसमें क्या होगा, अगर बहुत सारे students ऐसा सोचेंगे जिन्होंने ये वाला आंसर दिया होगा, वो ये सोचेंगे कि मैंने आंसर क्योंकि अपनी लैंग्वेज में लिखा था शायद ना, इसलिए आईसीआई ने मुझे मार्क्स नहीं दिए. मेनी स्टूडेंट्स विल थिंक इट दिस वे. बट और या फिर जब वो ये वाला रीजन देखेंगे और जो करेक्ट रीजन देखेंगे तो उन्हें लगेगा थोड़ा सा हेर फेर है बस, इस वजह से पर मुझे मार्क्स नहीं मिले बिकॉज शायद मैंने बिल्कुल एग्जैक्ट वो लैंग्वेज नहीं लिखी. बट ऐसा नहीं है. कंसेप्चुअल अंडरस्टैंडिंग इज डिफरेंट इन बोथ द रीजन्स. यहां पर आपने उसको सप्लाई मान लिया बट शेड्यूल 3 में डाल दिया, इस वजह से आपने जीएसटी नहीं लगाया. जबकि अगर आप ये वाला रीजन देखोगे तो इसमें करेक्ट रीजन ये है कि वो सप्लाई नहीं है, क्योंकि वो गुड्स भी नहीं है, वो सर्विसेज भी नहीं है, वो दोनों डेफिनेशन से बाहर है, इसीलिए वो सप्लाई नहीं है. सो बोथ द थिंग्स आर entirely different, reasons are entirely different, and this type of conceptual understanding you all require for your examination. I hope this concept is clear to you all. Even if such kind of a question comes in exam, money या security में, from now onwards, I hope all of you will answer it correctly. Quickly write me in the chat box whether you have understood this concept or not, so that I can move ahead with some of the other examples. Please write in the chat box whether you have understood this or not. Okay, Lingaraju. Himanshika, okay, good. You have understood. Some other students, because I can see many other students here. So please tell me. Kuldeep, Lingaraju, Aditya, Chandran, Karthik, Ritik, Shashank, Maithili, Paras, Shashi, Sujendra, and many others are there. Okay, Maithili, good. Karthik, you got it. So Aditya has also given a go ahead. Jaya, good. So because once you write it here, I'm also able to know that yes, you are with me and you have understood the concept. Good, Ritik, you have understood it now. Good. So now let us see now the last example of presentation. Till now, we have seen two examples. One, something was covered in Schedule 3, but we were not able to make it out. We simply wrote it is exempt. Second, something was not supply, a particular transaction was not supply because it was not neither good nor services, and we wrongly took it as Schedule 3 item. That was also not correct. Now the third example. See the third example and again let me know how it is, why is it wrong? Kuldeep, don't get frightened with the precision required in the examination. No, please don't get frightened. This is something which you are feeling frightened or scared because you are seeing it for the first time and because you are not differentiating with the concept, the things conceptually. If you know, see the definitions clearly and conceptually, you will not be making any mistakes in this. I can assure you that once you know these concepts, you will not make any mistake. Don't get frightened. Now you know this. You should be thankful that yes, now you know you can do it. Lingraju is saying it's eye opener. Yes, that is true. But please mark these concepts because these concepts are actually different, and you should know that. Yeah, it is writing provision to the core because when you are writing the provision, you are understanding the provision to the core, then only you will be able to apply that correctly in the examination also. So try to understand this. Now, J Limited Gujarat has received. So if you read all the chapters thoroughly, then you will be clearly able to make out the distinction between all. When you have gone through Schedule 3 items, you memorize those all entries, 8 entries which are there. You now I think co-insurance has also been added. So when you know all those entries, you know that yes, these are Schedule 3 entries. This question does not pertain to that. Definition of goods and services, I know. Definition of supply, I know. This does not, as per that also, everything is okay. This is a supply. Now I have to go to exemption notification, that is 12/2017. And accordingly, I will write the reason. If you go this way, because now after intermediate, you'll go to final also, and you build this kind of base for your final, definitely you will not find any problem in final also. So please try to memorize the concepts this way. But yes, this way you will, if you write the provisions, you will not lose marks. They did not write a provision. In this particular question, you are saying, Aditya, see, this is the reason which has been provided by the student. Okay. Company has received interest on fixed deposit, whatever amount is there, from a public sector bank. A company has received interest on fixed deposit from a public sector bank. Now I have given you a solution which was done by a student. He has taken it to be nil, GST payable to be nil. What was the reason which he has given, but he did not get the marks for the reason? Can anybody tell me? Aditya is saying he did not write the provision, but he has written the provision. Any mistake somebody can point out here? Okay, let me tell you. He has written that services by way of extending deposits is not a supply. He has written that it is not a supply. But why is it not a supply? If you see, it is a supply per se. It is not excluded by way of definition, by the definition of supply. It is for consideration. Interest is being charged. It is in course of furtherance of business because we are extending deposits to bank is giving us interest, so we are getting consideration also. It is in course of furtherance of business also, and it is not a schedule 3 item. So this is a supply in the first place. So this is not correct. It is supply, but it is exempted by way of notification 12 by 2017. And what was the entry by which it is exempt? This is services by way of extending deposits so far as your consideration is represented by way of interest. Even if you are not able to remember this whole entry, now let me tell you, if you are not able to memorize this whole entry, if you write that it is exempted by way of notification, because here no other point is being attracted. If simply you write this also, that will be fine. But yes, in case any point was there, like in case of the charitable activities we saw, there you had to write that yes, he is doing charitable activities and this is exempt by way of notification, then that full reason has to be given. But here if you write services of extending of deposits is exempt by notification, that will also be fine. That reason can also be given. So I hope this clears your, with this you know that how you have to present your answers. You have to give reasoning, proper reasoning has to be given, and different way of presenting the answers in a wrong manner. So till now, anybody has any doubt, please let me know. Any doubt? Okay. Thank you, Lingra. Ritik. Yes. Yes.
Ma'am, agar if is there any modification by notification, then we need to also mention about the notification that it's changed by notification.
That is changed by notification. What change by what is the change?
मैम मतलब हमें लिखना पड़ेगा कि ये नोटिफिकेशन से चेंज हुआ है या डायरेक्ट हम एग्जाम्प लिख दे?
नहीं, आप एग्जाम लिखोगे, नोटिफिकेशन में कोई चेंज हो जाता है तो भी आपको सिर्फ वो चेंज आपको अगर लगता है आपके क्वेश्चन में इट इज एप्लीकेबल, देन यू कैन राइट, बट अदरवाइज यू ओनली हैव टू गिव द रीजन. नोटिफिकेशन के थ्रू कैसे मॉडिफिकेशन आएगा? नोटिफिकेशन के थ्रू मॉडिफिकेशन ये आएगा कि कोई सप्लाई पहले एग्जेम्प्ट नहीं थी, अब वो नोटिफिकेशन में इंक्लूड हो गई है, इस वजह से वो एग्जेम्प्ट हो गई है, या फिर वो ऑलरेडी एग्जेम्प्ट थी बट उसमें कोई कंडीशन चेंज हो गई है, या कोई परसेंटेज चेंज हो गया है, या कोई चीज जो पहले एग्जेम्प्ट थी अब एग्जेम्प्ट नहीं रही है. दीज टाइप ऑफ चेंजेस कैन ओनली बी देयर. ये 2-3 तरह के चेंजेस हो सकते हैं. जो भी कुछ है आपको वो रीजन ही लिखना है. इफ इट वाज ऑलरेडी एग्जेम्प्ट बट नाउ इट इज नो मोर एग्जेम्प्ट, देन यू कैन गिव 2 टाइप ऑफ रीजंस. All of you also pay attention to it. Suppose you have a particular item which was exempt earlier. Now it is not exempt because that exemption has been withdrawn. That particular supply is given in your question. So you can give 2 types of reasoning. First, you can ideally what you should write is this exemption has been withdrawn. If it is very recently it has been withdrawn. But if it is withdrawn maybe 1 year, 2 years back, and you only know the latest position of law, then you will write that this is not specifically exempt. It is a supply, but it is nowhere specifically exempt. That is why it is taxable. This much you have to write, because we do not expect our students to know very old positions of law. We just want them to know the latest amendments and the latest position of law which is applicable on 31st October 2025. So this is how you have to write the reason. I hope that clears it. Clears your doubt?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now again, I'm taking few examples. Then I will take a full case scenario, which is given in your revision test paper. We'll take that scenario also. Now see, this is a question for computing the net GST payable in cash. J Limited Gujarat paid inward transportation expense of 30,000 to Mr. Z, a tempo owner in Gujarat who has not issued any consignment note. He has issued a consolidated bill in February. He has not issued any consignment note. Tax rate applicable on such transactions is 5%. Now, so see, he has taken an inward supply. An inward supply is there. That supply is the transportation of goods because he has incurred some expenses on transportation of goods, and he has paid it to a tempo owner. Now, that tempo owner has not issued any consignment note. Okay, we have to compute ITC. Now, I'm not, first of all, tell me whether this particular transaction, transportation of goods by a tempo owner who has not issued any consignment note, whether this is taxable or it is exempt. Quickly write it in the chat box, everybody, whether it is taxable or it is exempt. Okay. Karthik, Kuldeep, and Karthik has given one more point to this. That is why I wanted to test this particular entry, that students will get some doubt here. See, entry 18 of the Kuldeep has also mentioned the same reason, because it is taxable, so it is taxable under RCM. Now let us see whether it is taxable or not. The transportation of goods services are being provided by a tempo owner. But point is that this tempo owner has not issued consignment note. And question also does not mention that he is registered as a goods transport agency. Now, if you remember that particular exemption entry, it says that the services by way of transportation of goods is exempt. Otherwise, then by a GTA, the goods where the goods are being transported by GTA or by a courier service. So here, it's not a courier service case, but it's a case where this person can be a GTA, cannot be a GTA. If he is a GTA, then his services will not be exempt. But if he is not a GTA, then his services will be exempt. Services of transportation of goods. If you clearly remember that entry, I think that is entry 18 or entry 22, which says that services by way of transportation of goods are exempt. Otherwise, then provided by a GTA or a courier service provider. So GTA, but for GTA, if you see the definition of GTA, he has to issue a consignment note. So the GTA, Goods Transport Agency, he should be registered as GTA and he has to issue the consignment note. And this particular tempo owner has not issued any consignment note. He has not issued any consignment note. So he is not a GTA. And since he is not a GTA, he will not be able to take, he will not be pay, this transaction will not be taxable. Since this transaction will not be taxable because he has not issued a consignment note, so this will be exempt. And that is why there is no question of charging GST. Since GST has not been charged by the tempo owner, so there will be no ITC here. Okay. Now, I think with this, we'll take some more common committed errors are there. But before that, we'll take the case scenario, which has been taken in the RTP, which was given in RTP to give you an idea how you have to proceed towards the case scenarios. So we'll take remaining items afterwards. And please let me know whether you want to have more of the commonly committed errors. If it is actually scaring you, then it's I don't want to go into that. But I just want to give you an idea that what are the things you do not have to do in the examination so that you don't lose the marks. Let us see the case scenario first. And if you all want to continue with this type of commonly committed errors, we have some more examples. We'll take that. But let us first of all take some case scenario and some RTP questions so that you can get, because I got lot many queries from students based on the RTP as well as case scenario. So a case scenario in the RTP. So I want the students to know that yes, these are the errors, but this how you have to do in the exam if case scenario comes, how you have to proceed, what are the steps you have to follow for arriving at the correct answer. Okay, Karthik is saying when no information is given, yes, Karthik, that is also very, very important point. In fact, after taking case scenario, few exam writing tips I will give you. One is presentation. Presentation has to be perfect. We have seen one way of seeing the writing the answers to the computational questions. Second thing is, if in any of the computational questions you do not have any information, any missing information you feel, though that is not missing, but you feel that there are two assumptions which are possible because of some information not being explicitly written in the question. You have to write an assumption. You have to take an assumption and write it explicitly in your answer. For example, if it is not provided to you that the receipts given to you are inclusive of GST or exclusive of GST, both are equally possible. You have to take an assumption. You will see in the suggested answers also, many a times we have seen that on this particular assumption, this answer is based, but other assumption is also possible. So you have to take one of the assumptions. You have to mention the answer based on that assumption. And then second answer, you do not have to write because you have specifically stated your assumption in your answer. But stating the assumption is very, very important. Then every answer you have to substantiate with the provision of law. So if it is a computational question, proper reasoning has to be mentioned. If it is a theory question, if direct question is there, then also you have to properly write the provision. Don't ensure that whatever provision you are writing, its meaning does not get changed when you are writing it in your own words. Writing in your own words is completely acceptable, but same meaning should be conveyed. So try to write it in your words, so that you can do by practicing beforehand. For that, you have to do writing practice. When you're writing in your own words, then some kind of practice is required, because if you immediately or straight away try to write it in your own words in examination, that becomes very difficult and that takes a lot of time. So try to practice it beforehand. Plus, second thing is that, so few tips which I already had thought that I will convey to you. Then the handwriting. Your handwriting should be a legible handwriting. Don't try to be write very beautifully in the examination, because then you will not be able to keep pace with the answers. But yes, don't your handwriting should be visible, or should be readable by the examiner. And start your answer with your best known answer, or start your paper when you are attempting the question paper. First answer should be the answer which is best known to you. And then in the decreasing order, answers have to be written. Because when the examiner takes your copy for evaluation, when he sees the first answer, he creates an impression about you. So that impression actually goes throughout your evaluation process. So if the first answer is your best answer, then definitely you will get an edge over other students, and this will help in you scoring better, definitely. So don't start with your most or you can say the worst answer, which you feel that this is the most difficult question. I think I will not be able to answer it properly, but let's do it first so that I get tension free, and then I will do my answer the questions which I know very well. No, never do this mistake in the examination. Your first answer should be your best answer, and then in the decreasing order you have to follow. And if you are exceeding too much the time limit, you have to allocate a time limit for each and every question in your reading time itself. You get 15 minutes reading time. You know MCQ portion is not given to you, so leave that aside. You get only descriptive portion. Have a glance at the descriptive portion. You know that compulsory question you anyhow have to do. Don't go through that also. Optional questions you have to see. Now see the optional questions. Try to figure out that particular question which you are going to leave in choice, and the question which you know the best. So that question will be your first answer question that you will be attempting. You know that this question you do not have to attempt, and then as soon as you get your answer sheet, start attempting the paper. But your first answer should be your best answer, and whatever time you have allocated for a particular answer, if you are exceeding too much that particular time limit, go to the next question and you can anyhow come back to that particular question. So you have to attempt each and every question. Make it, or you promise yourself before going to the examination center, that I will be attempting each and every question, come what may. I will be uh, managing my time in such a manner that I will attempt each and every question. Moreover, if even if I don't know answer to a particular question, whatever comes to my mind, you are a CA intermediate student, you have passed foundation, or if you're even if you're coming through a direct entry route, you have cleared your graduation. So this much prudence you have, this much logical mindset you have, that you can attempt a particular question with your logical mindset, even if you are not aware of the provision. So don't leave any question unattempted. Attempt every question with full justification. Give full justice to each and every question. Don't feel that I know three answers proficiently. So these I will devote whole my time to these three answers, and rest questions I will leave. No, that is the worst approach. You have to attempt each and every question. Try to do justice with each and every question. Whatever time you have allocated for a particular question, if you're exceeding too much, move to the next question. You can anyhow come back anyway, anytime you can come back to that question. Keep some time for revision also, to see that whatever has been asked, you are actually answering that or not. That is also very important. Okay. So with this, I will do one case scenario. Though Kuldeep, Lingaraju, they are of the view that we should continue with that commonly committed errors only. We'll do that, don't worry. But before that, let me do one case scenario also, because that will help you in knowing how you have to attempt the case scenarios. Then Kuldeep and Lingaraju will be starting with the some few points which have been left, that also we'll be doing. So I've given you the tips for the examination also through this. And now let us see the first case scenario of the RTP, or the only case scenario of the RTP that we'll be doing. Let's start reading it. Apex Learning Hub is a registered person under GST law and is engaged in providing coaching services. So we have seen that it provides the coaching services. Okay. The aggregate turnover during the preceding financial year is given to you. We'll see whether it is required in the question, answering the questions or not. During the internal review and compliance verification, the following facts were noted. Apex Learning Hub provides coaching services for competitive examination and charges a consolidated fee from the students. Now, this consolidated fee, what it comprises of? It comprises of tuition fee, study material charges, and access to online lectures. So these three things are included in the coaching fees, which is a consolidated fee which this coaching class is Apex Learning Hub is charging. And it has its tuition fee, it has study material charges, and online recorded online lectures. Now they are not shown separately in the invoice. All three charges are together combined, and study material and online recorded lectures are otherwise they are not available. This is one of the information. Second information is it has during the financial year online Apex Learning Hub receives an advance of 2,50,000 from corporate clients for conducting customized training programs against which services were rendered in the subsequent year. Now this is advance for the services. Let us see what type of question we get for this particular information. But generally when you read a kind of information, you tend to get a or you tend to frame a kind of anticipated question which will be there based on that information. So all of you would be doing that exercise also, I know, side by side, that yes, this type of question could be there. Fourth information says Apex Learning Hub purchased diesel for an amount of 50,000 for running the emergency power backup facility at its center. Supplier was located at 20 kilometers from the location of the center. Now the next point. Next point says Apex Learning Hub opened an additional place of business in another state during the year. It opened an additional place of business in another state. Now this additional place is in some other state. The classroom coaching services were being provided from such place. However, the invoices were issued from the original GST registration. So original GST registration was okay, this is not mentioned in which state its original registration was there, but suppose in state X its registration was there. So in state Y also it has started providing services, and there also it has opened an additional place of business. Okay. Then annual return was filed on 15th December of the succeeding financial year. On the basis of the facts given above, you are required to answer question number 1 to 5. Now we'll quickly go through one by one questions, and instead of going all the questions at one stretch, we'll see first question 1 and we'll see the relevant information and the correct answer. This way we'll go. Which of the following statements is correct regarding taxability of the consolidated fee charged from students as per the relevant provisions of the GST law? There are 4 statements, and I want answers from all of you who are there with me. What is the correct answer? The supply qualifies as a composite supply and the entire consideration shall be taxed at the rate applicable to coaching services. Supply qualifies as a mixed supply. So first is composite supply, second is mixed supply. In mixed supply, you know that the highest rate is applicable to any individual component, that will be the applicable rate. Highest rate applicable to any of the components will be the applicable rate that you know if it is a mixed supply. Third is tuition fee is exempt under the education related services, you know, and only study material and online lectures are taxable. Each component must be taxed separately, even if a consolidated price is charged. So what is the correct answer to this particular question? We'll once again go through the question and we'll try to locate the information which is relevant for answering this particular question. See, these two paragraphs are relevant for answering this particular question. Question was whether this consolidated fee is in the nature of composite supply or is it is in the nature of mixed supply, or it should be taxed individually at the individual services provided. Or last point was it is exempt under GST. So which of the answers is correct? You can just mention the options. I will quickly once again show you the options. One is composite supply, A, mixed supply, B, exempt is C, and D is taxed separately. Now this is the information which is relevant here. Apex Limited provides coaching services for which he is charging the consolidated fee. Now, important point is whether the coaching fees is exempt or not. So if it is exempt, then we do not have to move further. Otherwise, we have to see what is the correct option. I will give you some time to find the correct answer. But for this, you should know that yes, this is the relevant portion you have to refer for answering this particular point. Okay, so here, in fact, though it appeared to me a very simple question, but I'm getting varied answers from the students.
Ma'am,
Hmm.
ma'am, some of my friends and other teachers also said that कि GST करो, GST ही पास कराएगी। ऐसे में
हाँ, जीएसटी पास कराएगी तो पक्की बात है। जीएसटी आप पढ़ेंगे तो जरूर पास कराएगा, इनकम टैक्स पढ़ेंगे तो वो भी पास कराएगा। लेकिन जीएसटी को आपको अगर आप पढ़ना है, आप चाहते हो कि वो आपको पास कराए, तो उसको आपको लाइटली नहीं लेना है। आपको ये नहीं सोचना कि जीएसटी बहुत आसान है तो मैं जीएसटी तो थोड़ा लाइटली पढ़ के, कम पढ़ के भी बहुत अच्छे नंबर ले आऊंगा और बाकी टाइम मुझे इनकम टैक्स में देना है। तो उसमें क्या होगा कि आपको दोनों में ही आपके हाफ हार्टेड एफर्ट्स होंगे। आपको जिस भी सेक्शन पे फोकस करना है, आप वैसे तो इक्वली यू शुड डिवोट टाइम टू इनकम टैक्स एज वेल एज जीएसटी, पर अगर आप जीएसटी पे ज्यादा फोकस करना चाहते हो तो जीएसटी को बहुत थरली करना है। लाइक आई शो यू सम एग्जांपल्स। ये एग्जांपल मैंने इसीलिए आज शो किए, नॉट टू स्केयर यू बट टू टेल यू कि वेयर यू आर एक्चुअली making mistake while preparing.
yes, ma'am.
So because when you are preparing, then you have to be extra cautious and you have to be very, very thorough in your preparation. Half-hearted effort से नहीं हो सकता।
Yes, ma'am, जो कहते कि GST पास कराएगी वो इतनी आसान, इतनी इजीली नहीं होगी वो।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल यही बात है कि जीएसटी इतना आसान नहीं है कि जीएसटी को अगर आप जीएसटी पे फोकस कर रहे हो और आप उसी को ही आप लाइटली लेके चलोगे कि ये सोच के कि ये तो बहुत आसान है, तो हो जाएगा, और आप थरो उसको करना चाहते हो, आप फोकस दूसरे सब्जेक्ट पे करो, आप दोनों पे इक्वल टाइम डिवोट करो, दैट इज द बेस्ट अप्रोच, दैट शुड बी द आइडल वे। बट आप अगर इनकम टैक्स पे फोकस करना चाहते हो तो इनकम टैक्स को फिर थरली पढ़ो, इन एंड आउट। मतलब ऐसा नहीं है कि आपने सिर्फ पास्ट ईयर क्वेश्चंस कर लिए या मेन कॉन्सेप्ट्स आपने देखा कि बस ये इंपॉर्टेंट है, ये क्वेश्चन आते हैं, उसको भी आप जो भी कॉन्सेप्ट पढ़ रहे हो उसको कंसेप्चुअली समझो। जो केस सिनेरियो बुकलेट है, दैट इज वेरी वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट, यू शुड गो थ्रू दैट केस सिनेरियो बुकलेट, दैट हैज वेरी कंसेप्चुअल क्वेश्चंस। आपको बहुत सारे कॉन्सेप्ट्स उस बुकलेट से क्लियर हो जाएंगे। जो एमसीक्यूज होते हैं ना, उनमें रीजनिंग हम नहीं पूछते हैं, बट दे हेल्प इन क्लैरिफाइंग दी कॉन्सेप्ट, इसमें थोड़े ट्रिकी पॉइंट्स होते हैं। आपको मैंने बताया क्विज टाइम क्वेश्चंस, यू गो थ्रू क्विज टाइम क्वेश्चंस ऑफ ऑल दी सब्सटैंटिव चैप्टर्स। सब्सटैंटिव चैप्टर्स में इसीलिए डाला है उनको, प्रोसीजर में नहीं डाला है, क्योंकि वहां आपको कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी की जरूरत है। यू विल हैव 5 to 6 एमसीक्यूज, एग्जाम्शन में जरूर 10 है, अदरवाइज बाकी चैप्टर्स में 5 to 6 एमसीक्यूज क्विज टाइम क्वेश्चंस आर देयर। बट please mark my words, each and every MCQ of quiz time questions will give you a new way of thinking. आपकी जो एप्लीकेशन एबिलिटी है उसको इंप्रूव करेगा। आप उस क्वेश्चन को देखोगे, आपको एक नया कॉन्सेप्ट आप हर एमसीक्यू में सीखते हो। तो दैट इज व्हाई दोज एमसीक्यूज हैव बीन पुट इन देयर, दे आर नॉट जस्ट फिलर्स। उनको एक मोनोटनी तोड़ने के लिए भी वहां डाला गया है, बट दे एक्चुअली aim at teaching you many concepts in a very simple manner. आप MCQ पढ़ते पढ़ते बहुत चीजें सीख जाओगे. आदित्य अभी पूछ रहे हैं, अभी इसका आंसर अभी मैं सब बच्चों से मतलब पूछूंगी, लेकिन आप इतना निकालिए इसका आंसर. आदित्य इन द मीन टाइम इज आस्किंग मी, Kuldeep, your answer is correct, and I will tell you why, because all other answers are not correct. Aditya is saying how to be aware, beware of negative people in society. They always demotivate not to study. You are talking about the your friends, your relatives, or about whom you are talking. देखिए, बहुत लोग होंगे जो हमें हमेशा who will try to pull us back because they do not want to see our success. You will get so many people who are pulling you back, but you have to see your aim. In fact, this I always tell to all my students, that when your exams are nearing, then first thing in the morning you should do is when you get up, you should visualize your aim. You should visualize that once you become a chartered accountant, what will you achieve and what your life will turn into. So if that type of visualization, or how happy your parents will be, your life will change, if these things if you visualize, then you will help, that will help you in focusing at your aim. Otherwise क्या होता है कि जब आप किसी चीज के लिए प्रिपेयर करते हो तो बहुत स्ट्रगल्स होती हैं, एंड देयर विल बी सो मेनी फैक्टर्स व्हिच विल पुल यू डाउन, देयर विल बी सो मेनी पीपल हु विल पुल यू डाउन, but that is what is actually expected from us, that we have to get down or get away from them. तो उस टाइम पर आपको अपना जो एम है ना, आपकी wherever you have your study table or wherever you study in your at place where you study in your house, there you should write your aim clearly on a piece of paper, that I want to be a chartered accountant for these 2 3 whatever reasons you feel, that you should write. And always whenever you feel demotivated, read those lines, that I want to be a chartered accountant because of these reasons. There can be different reasons for any for different people. Don't think that everybody is doing it for money. There could be some people who feel that I should get that prefix CA before my name, and that will give me a sense of pride and achievement. So they, and you should read the success stories of students who have struggled a lot and then they achieved. In last fortnight session, my colleague Swati had shared a lot of success stories with you. Those of you who had attended the fortnight session, those success stories had, each success story had its own struggle, and then how that person came out of that struggle and he achieved that success. So after achieving success, nobody asked him how he achieved that, but he knows that yes, he has come out of that struggle and he achieved that. So that was very, very motivating. You should also go through them, and you should try to visualize that yes, you are going to achieve it from by becoming a chartered accountant. What difference in your life will come, that will help you in motivating. Anything specific you want to ask, Aditya, you can ask. You can unmute yourself also if you want to unmute. Sujendra wants to unmute. Okay, Sujendra, unmute yourself. In the meantime, let me tell you the reason, the correct answer to this particular question. Otherwise, we'll get, lost in the other remaining things only. So in this particular question, if you see, these, let me go to the
Good
fact.
afternoon. I just
Yes.
wanted to ask now.
Who is there? You,
Sujendra, madam, my name is.
yes, Sujendra.
So actually, I could see some MTPs which are posted over the ICAI website. Actually, there are 8 MTPs. So if
Okay.
the time doesn't permit us to solve 8, or at least if we solve 4 or 5, will that help us to
That will be
clear the
sufficient.
exam?
That will be more than enough. That is there only for practice. Those questions were there only for practice. But since in tax laws, you know that frequent amendments are also there. Frequent amendments take place. So both for income tax as well as for GST, I would suggest you go through the 2 recent MTPs which have been given. That will be more than sufficient. Plus you go through the case scenario booklet. That would be more than enough for your practice for the examination. If you are attempting 2 MTPs sincerely under exam conditions, I can assure you that will give you sufficient practice. But yes, if doing those 2 MTPs, you feel that you are not able to manage your time properly and you ended up not completing the paper, if such kind of a thing happens, or you feel that you were not able to perform it in that manner which you had thought before starting the paper, then in that case you can go through those papers. But for that also, I would say for taxation papers, you have to take into consideration the updates also. Yes, Mathili, for income tax also reasoning is equally important because that carries marks. Explanatory notes always carry marks. So this you have to take care of in every question, every law paper as well as tax papers also. This is important. Please mind it. Now in this question, the coaching services, for coaching services, whatever coaching services he is providing, just give me 1 minute. Let me complete this question. It covers tuition fee, study material charges, and online lectures access. Now, these three services are related. Why we are considering it to be mixed supply? When we are attending a coaching service, you tell me, you will definitely get, you will be charged for tuition, the whatever coaching you are getting. Plus, you will be getting study material as part of your program only. Everywhere, this is a general business practice, or in ordinary course of business also, you get study material also in coaching classes. So this is something which, this is a kind of business model which all students are conversant of. So that is why it has been covered here. So tuition fee will be there, study material will also be provided, and these days, since online classes are there, so access to those online classes, if anybody is providing online lectures, then that access is also there to a limited extent for some limited period or some for limited attempts. That access is also there. This is a part of the complete package. So this is bundled in ordinary course of business, or it is naturally bundled. They are not being separately charged. They have not been separately mentioned. So that is why they cannot be individually charged. Somebody told that individual rates will be there. That will also not be there. It cannot be said mixed because these are naturally bundled in ordinary course of business. And the last point was exempt. It cannot be considered as exempt because the service should be provided by an educational institution. Now that educational institution has 3 clauses, one of which is the preschool or secondary or higher secondary education. Second is the institutions providing the education recognized by law, which a coaching class is not providing. Third one is vocational courses. That is also not being done at a coaching class. So coaching class does not fall in any of the exemptions or any of the clauses of the educational institutions. Now, any services provided by an educational institution is only exempt. If it is not an educational institution, it is not exempt. So this particular service of coaching cannot be considered to be exempt. In fact, all of you who are going for coaching, they will also be paying the GST on that. Yes. Anybody has any query? Otherwise, we'll move to the next question. Somebody was asking me any question. Sujendra, your doubts are clear now?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So let us see next question. It says whether GST is payable on receipt of 2,50,000 received from corporate clients. Now for this, we have to again go back to the question. But before that, let us first of all quickly go to the options. GST is paid. Now when, in fact, they want to ask you that when GST is payable on 2,50,000 or whether it is not payable at all. 2,50,000 की जो आपकी receipts है corporate client से, उसके ऊपर GST पे होगा नहीं होगा. If you remember, I had mentioned at a place advance on services. So this was that case. But we'll once again go through the facts. Let us see the options. GST is payable at the time of receipt. जब आपको वो मिले थे पैसे तभी पे हो जाएगा. Or when you issue the invoice for those services, or at the time of supply of services. When you actually supply those services to the corporate clients, then GST will be payable. And last option is GST is not payable at all on the coaching services. Coaching services पे GST pay होगा ही नहीं. To the extent we have discussed till now, many students will be sure that this option is not correct, but still let us go through the facts of the case which are relevant for answering this particular question. Just to give you a hint or tell you how to answer, अगर आप पूरा केस पढ़ोगे तो आपको समझ आ चुका होगा कि ये particular जो point है और this particular piece of information is relevant for answering question number 2. So, can you tell me the correct answer? हमें बताना है कि जीएसटी कब पे होगा 2,50,000 के ऊपर. Jaya, your answer is correct. Any answers from other students? Advance received for rupees 2,50,000 from the corporate clients for conducting some customized training, जिसको आपको बाद में services provide करनी, लेकिन अभी आपको advance मिल गया है. जया का आंसर ठीक है. कार्तिक, your answer is correct. आशीष, फिर से आंसर देखो. These are services. आशीष, please pay attention. ये services हैं. कुलदीप, आप भी you have to check this point. These are services. कार्तिक, टाइम, हाँ कार्तिक ने बताया टाइम ऑफ सप्लाई. ठीक है. Receipt is the time of supply. Very good. Now let me tell you the reason. Correct option. First of all, this is the difference which you should know for goods and services. This is again a very conceptual point that in case of the goods, if you are receiving any advance, tax will not be paid on that advance, or at the time of receipt of advance, tax will not be paid. tax will be paid when you will actually have to issue the invoice, a last date on which invoice should have been issued, or actual issuance of invoice, whichever is earlier. गुड्स के केस में आप कब इनवॉइस इशू करते हो? जब आप गुड्स को रिमूव करते हो। तो अगर आपने अपनी गुड्स, आपने कोई अमाउंट रिसीव किया 12th ऑफ जनवरी को, और गुड्स आपने एक्चुअली सप्लाई की 15th ऑफ फेब्रवरी को, इनवॉइस आपने इशू किया 17th ऑफ फेब्रवरी को, तो आपको एक्चुअली में गुड्स के केस में, दीज आर सर्विसेज, रिमेंबर आई एम नॉट टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस केस, गुड्स के केस में आपको जो 15th को आपने गुड्स रिमूव किए, 17th को आपने इनवॉइस इशू की, तो आपको एक्चुअली में इनवॉइस कब इशू करनी थी? लास्ट डेट ऑन विच यू हैव रिमूव्ड द गुड्स, दैट वाज द लास्ट डेट ऑन विच इनवॉइस शुड हैव बीन इशूड. So 15th February will be the time of supply, or 15th February is the date on which tax becomes payable. Otherwise, second case could be goods के केस में ही अगर 15th को आपने goods remove किए, 13th को आपने invoice issue कर दी, तो then in that case again we'll apply the concept of whichever is earlier. Then since 15th was the last day to issue the invoice, we have actually issued the invoice on 13th, so time of supply will be 13th, but it will be date of invoice. However, in case of services, yes Kuldeep, now you are correct, कि सर्विसेज के केस में क्या होता है? द डेट ऑन विच, सपोज फर्स्ट थिंग यू हैव टू सी इज दैट वेदर द services have been, the invoice for the services has been issued within 30 days of completion of service, or it has been issued after completion of service. But यहाँ पर तो क्या है कि आपको पहले ही मिल गया पैसा, you have received the money before providing the service. So in that case, in case of services, because we generally say at the date of issuance of invoice or date of receipt of payment, in case invoice is issued within 30 days, date of receipt of payment, or date of issuance of invoice, whichever is earlier. Now here the question of invoice does not arise because we have received the amount before providing services itself. So advance will be taxed at the time of receipt of advance itself, and this 2,50,000 will be taxed at the time of receipt. I hope this is clear to you all. This nobody should have any doubt कि services के case में whenever you are receiving the advance, you will have to pay tax at the time itself. You don't have to postpone the time of supply till the time of issuance of invoice or the time of rendering of service. No, एडवांस जैसे ही मिलेगा आप उस पर टैक्स पे कर दोगे. गुड्स होंगे तो आपको इनवॉइस तक वेट करना पड़ेगा. ठीक है. नाउ वी कम टू द नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन. ओके, थैंक यू लिंगराज, यू गॉट दिस पॉइंट. इन केस ऑफ डीजल परचेज्ड बाय एपेक्स लर्निंग हब. अब कुछ लोगों ने डीजल पढ़ के सोचा होगा कि कुछ आईटीसी का पॉइंट भी हो सकता है. सम पीपल माइट हैव थॉट, बट यहाँ पर आईटीसी ना पूछकर ई-वे बिल पूछा है. इन केस ऑफ डीजल परचेज बाय एपेक्स लर्निंग हब, ई-वे बिल इज डैश. अब क्या है इसमें? ई-वे बिल कब तक इशू करना है, नहीं करना है, क्या है वो हम ऑप्शंस में देखेंगे. ई-वे बिल इज रिक्वायर्ड टू बी जनरेटेड एज वैल्यू इज 50,000. अब देखते हैं वैल्यू थी क्या, बट डीजल के लिए उन्होंने बोला कि ई-वे बिल इशू करना है. डीजल जो हमने परचेज किया है उसके लिए जो उसका सेलर है वो इशू करेगा, क्योंकि वैल्यू 50,000 से ज्यादा थी. Not required to be generated as consignment value is not more than 50,000. एक है कि वैल्यू 50,000 थी बट कंसाइनमेंट वैल्यू नहीं थी, मे बी उसमें कुछ एग्जेम्प्ट आइटम थी. डीजल पर से जो है वो एग्जेम्प्ट है या टैक्सेबल है, पहले तो आपको यही पता होना चाहिए. कंसाइनमेंट वैल्यू इज नॉट मोर देन 50,000. देन not required to be generated as transport location was more than 50 kilometer, and the last point is not required to be generated at all irrespective of the value of goods. कुछ भी वैल्यू हो, कुछ भी डिस्टेंस हो, ई-वे बिल के डीजल के केस में ई-वे बिल will not be generated. Let us go back to the facts of the case. This fourth point is relevant for answering your third question. Apex Learning Hub purchased diesel for an amount of 50,000. अभी इसमें टैक्स नहीं जुड़ा है, बट हम डीजल के ऊपर जीएसटी लगाते भी नहीं है, क्योंकि डीजल इज नॉट अ टैक्सेबल सप्लाई अंडर जीएसटी. डीजल इज आउटसाइड द परव्यू ऑफ जीएसटी. वेरी गुड लिंगराजू. Kuldeep has also mentioned, Kuldeep has mentioned more than 50,000, then e-way bill 50. Okay, you have mentioned first of all option B. Then Jaya is saying option D. Jaya का option बिल्कुल ठीक है, option D is the correct option, because आपकी कुछ भी value रही हो, you know that under rule 138 sub rule 14 there is a list of items which provides that इस केस में ई-वे बिल इशू ही नहीं करना है, चाहे कुछ भी वैल्यू हो. उसमें बहुत सारी कुछ ऐसे भी हैं जो exempted products हैं, या कुछ ऐसे हैं जो जनरल, जो which those cases where you need not issue e-way bill because they are not, e-way bill is not required, they are not high value items. There can be n number of reasons where those e-way bills are not required. Those cases have been illustrated in rule 138 sub rule 14. उसी में से एक केस है आपका डीजल. डीजल हैज बीन स्पेसिफिकली मेंशन्ड. Otherwise also, since diesel is not a taxable supply, diesel is not yet made taxable supply, though it can be made taxable with effect from an effective date. It is there in the charging section. Diesel, petrol, and natural gas, air turbine fuel, these all, aviation turbine fuel, sorry. So these all are non-taxable supplies. But whatever be your value of supply, आपकी कोई भी वैल्यू होगी, किसी भी केस में डीजल आपका टैक्सेबल, डीजल के ऊपर ई वे बिल आपको इशू नहीं करना. इन केस ऑफ डीजल ई वे बिल इज नॉट रिक्वायर्ड टू बी इशूड. कोई बात नहीं कुलदीप, इट इज फाइन. मोर इंपॉर्टेंट इज यू अटेम्प्टेड. बिना अटेम्प्ट किए सिर्फ देखते रहना इज वेरी इजी. जस्ट टू सी द वॉच द लेक्चर इज वेरी इजी. But if you are participating, you tend to learn more. I always say during my lectures also, whenever I take class, that those who are participating, they are learning more. Because whenever you write a wrong option, you tend to remember it for long period. आपने जब भी गलत ऑप्शन आप किसी क्लास में मार्क करके आप अपने चैट बॉक्स में लिखोगे, तो आपको वो ऑप्शन बहुत सालों तक याद रहेगा कि उस दिन वो ऑप्शन गलत मार्क करा था क्योंकि ऐसा हुआ था. So something which, some mistake which is making you retaining that concept for a longer period, that mistake is also acceptable. Committing a mistake here is good than doing it in exam. So यहाँ पर आंसर जरूर कीजिए. इसलिए रीजन ये नहीं है कि 50 किलोमीटर का डिस्टेंस नहीं था, 50,000 की वैल्यू थी, नहीं थी, क्या थी. दैट इज नॉट द रीजन. रीजन इज दैट कुछ भी वैल्यू होगी डीजल के केस में आपको ई वे बिल इशू करना ही नहीं है. क्वेश्चन नंबर 4. Whether Apex Learning Hub was required to obtain separate GST registration for additional place of business in another state. ऑप्शन से नहीं लेना है क्योंकि सिंगल रजिस्ट्रेशन पूरे इंडिया में आप यू कैन गो विद अ सिंगल रजिस्ट्रेशन थ्रू आउट इंडिया. Second, GST is a state-specific registration. In GST, state-specific registration is there. Third, only if turnover exceeds threshold limit in that particular state, or if goods are supplied, only if goods are supplied from that particular state. यहाँ पे तो हम services की बात कर रहे हैं because he is a coaching center. It is a coaching center, तो coaching center तो सिर्फ services ही provide करता है. Let us see the answer. Good. Lingaraju, Jaya, and then Ritik. See, single registration is not there in GST. Please mind it. Now let us go to the first of all facts, and then I will explain this concept to you. Apex Learning has opened an additional place of business in another state. So I already discussed that suppose in state X it had registration earlier. Now it started operating in state Y also. And is it required to obtain registration in that state or not? Section 22 of the CGST Act, it says that every person is required to take a registration from a state from where it provides, it renders or it supplies, it makes a taxable supply. कोचिंग सर्विसेज टैक्सेबल है, हमने पहले ही देख लिया. हम किसी और स्टेट से वो टैक्सेबल सप्लाईज कर रहे हैं इन केस इट्स एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर एक्सीड्स द थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट. अब एग्रीगेट टर्नओवर तो थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट पहले से, सिंस इट इज अ रजिस्टर्ड पर्सन, इट्स ऑलरेडी रजिस्टर्ड, तो इट मींस कि इसकी थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट एक्सीड हुई होगी तभी रजिस्टर हुआ था. वैसे भी पिछले साल का टर्नओवर भी दिया हुआ है 5 करोड़ है. सो it registered because its threshold limit was exceeded. Now, when its threshold limit, aggregate turnover has exceeded the threshold limit, so any additional place of business, we do not need to compute the turnover separately for that particular state. उस state का दोबारा से turnover निकालने की जरूरत नहीं है. ओवरऑल हमारा टर्नओवर एक्सीड हो चुका है. उस स्टेट में एक्सीड कर भी सकता है, नहीं भी कर सकता, डजंट मैटर. Once you had obtained a registration in any of the states under GST, you have to obtain registration in every state from where it makes a taxable supply. किसी स्टेट से अगर वो टैक्सेबल सप्लाई नहीं करता, फॉर एग्जाम्पल वो 2 स्टेट से कोचिंग सर्विसेज कर रहा है और एक स्टेट में उसका कुछ ऐसा है, जैसे सपोज ही इज सप्लाइंग लिकर और एनी ऑफ द एग्जेम्प्ट सप्लाईज, ही इज सप्लाइंग मिल्क इन एनी स्टेट, वहां पे और कोई बिजनेस नहीं है, सिर्फ एग्जेम्प्ट सप्लाईज वहां से वो कर रहे हैं. Then in that state, he need not obtain registration, though he is registered. So once you are registered in GST, you have to obtain registration from all the states across India. But from the states from where you are making exempt supplies, you need not obtain registration from those states. उन states में जहां purely exempt supplies कर रहे हो, उन states में से आपको registration लेने की जरूरत नहीं है. लेकिन अगर आपने एक बार registration ले लिया तो आपको हर state में otherwise by default registration लेना है. And there is no single registration in GST. Please remember it. There is no single registration in GST. Okay. Kuldeep, if his business makes taxable supplies from other states, then yes, if his you want to say that this is the correct option. Taxable supplies, the taxable supplies if he is making, then it is yes, if it is making a taxable supply, then from that state it has to make it has to take registration. Now, for example, his aggregate turnover was 50 lakhs, but his turnover from new state from where he wants to obtain registration is only 1 lakh. Then also he has to take a registration, because GST registration is a state specific registration, and once you are registered in any of the states, you have to take registration. आपका threshold limit एक बार exceed हो गया है, तो आपको सब स्टेट्स में रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना पड़ेगा जहां से टैक्सेबल सप्लाईज हम कर रहे हैं. जय सिंह, बट इफ वी आर मेकिंग ओनली इंट्रा स्टेट सप्लाईज इन मल्टीपल स्टेट्स, अगर आप सिर्फ इंट्रा स्टेट सप्लाईज कर रहे हो जया, तो उस केस में आपका, एंड यू आर सप्लाइंग गुड्स, if you are supplying intra-state goods from different states, multiple states, then what will happen? Your threshold will exceed to 40 lakhs. Only that will be the difference. But you have to take registration in each of the states. Interstate और intra-state से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. इंट्रास्टेट के केस में भी आपको रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना है, इंटरस्टेट के केस में भी रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना है. ओनली थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट विल अप्लाई. इंटरस्टेट सप्लाई के केस में आपको थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट एप्लीकेबल नहीं होती, एक्सेप्ट अभी खैर अब तो दोनों के लिए आ गया, 20 लाख की लिमिट इंटरस्टेट में भी आ गई है. बट अदरवाइज भी अगर आप इंट्रास्टेट सप्लाईज कर रहे हो, तो थ्रेशोल्ड लिमिट के बाद तो आपको रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना ही लेना है, चाहे आप सब स्टेट से सिर्फ इंटरस्टेट ही करते हो. इफ यू आर सप्लाइंग इंट्रास्टेट गुड, यू आर सप्लाइंग गुड्स इंट्रास्टेट फ्रॉम ऑल द स्टेट्स wherever you are operating, then also you have to take registration, provided your aggregate turnover exceeds the threshold limit for registration. That is different in different cases, you know, because यहाँ पर अब difference क्या आएगा कि आपने goods supply किए हैं, तो आपका एक वो जो आपको पता है कि you can take the benefit of that particular notification. Till that 20 lakhs exemption limit is still available in case of goods also. But उस केस में भी registration तो आपको लेना पड़ेगा. I hope it clears your doubt, Jaya. In case you still have any doubt, please write. In the meantime, we will move to question number 5. What is the last date to avail ITC pertaining to current financial year? अब हम एक बार देख लेते हैं करंट ईयर हमारा था क्या. करंट ईयर हमारा था अच्छा ठीक है, करंट ईयर का जो लास्ट डेट हम बता रहे हैं उसमें हमें एनुअल रिटर्न देखनी जरूरी है, इसीलिए हमें इस क्वेश्चन में केस सिनेरियो पे जाना जरूरी है. Annual return was filed on 15th December of the succeeding financial year. So this sixth point is actually relevant for determining the answer. Annual return कब फाइल किया? 15th December को of succeeding financial year. Okay, you got this point, Jaya? Good. So see 15th. So question number 5. Just I will mention the information here. 15th December is the date for filing the annual return. Okay, Jaya. Okay, correct answer, Jaya. Ritik, your answer is also correct. Karthik, see, this is the date of the annual return. But what does the provision says? Try to recall the provision. Then you will find the correct answer. I'm giving you some time to find the answer. And I request all the students to kindly give the answers. Right or wrong, that does not matter, but please give the answer. Yes. So Karthik, now you have given the provision yourself. So give me the correct answer. You know the correct provision. That is very good to know. Now give me the correct answer so that you can understand the provision. Last date to avail ITC pertaining to the current financial year. Yes, not the due date of filing. Date of filing the annual return. And in fact, had it been the due date of filing return, then also it would have been 30th November in our case. But anyhow, we should know the correct thing. It is the date of filing of annual return or 30th November, whichever is earlier. 30th November of financial year succeeding the year of supply. जिस साल में आपने सप्लाई किया है उसके सक्सीडिंग फाइनेंशियल ईयर की 30th नवंबर तक, या फिर जिस दिन आपने एक्चुअली एनुअल रिटर्न फाइल की है, विच एवर इज अर्लियर. So that is clearly 30th November because you have filed the return on 15th of December, annual return. Had you had in this case return, in this annual return, if it had been filed on 20th of September or 20th of October, then that would have been the last date for availing ITC because 30th November से पहले ही आपकी डेट फॉल कर गई है. उस केस में आपको जो डेट आपकी एनुअल रिटर्न आपने जिसमें फाइल किया है, आप किसी भी डेट में कर सकते हो एनुअल रिटर्न में. ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको वही ड्यू डेट ऑफ फाइलिंग नॉर्मल रिटर्न में करना है. इट नीड नॉट नेसेसरली बी 20th, इट कैन बी एनी डेट. So any date of October or September or November, if annual return has been filed before 30th November, then that date will be the date till which ITC can be taken. Yes. So yeah, I hope with this is also clear, this scenario. Let me come to the, let me see if any other commonly committed error is there. In fact, one more point I wanted to take in this one of the questions here. Rest of the points you can see, but in this particular question, some of the students, they asked me a doubt. So that is why I wanted to take this particular point of the descriptive question. Security services received. Now, let us see who is taking the security services. Messrs. Nivedita Private Limited. Nivedita Private Limited is a company. So a company or a body corporate is receiving services from security services from Messrs. Safety and Security Services, sole proprietorship firm, registered under composition scheme at Jalandhar, Punjab. I wanted the treatment. I just want the treatment that whether the tax will be payable on this particular service, first thing, so taxable or not. And second thing, if taxable, whether tax will be payable under reverse charge or forward charge. Whenever you see security services, it should immediately strike in your mind that something relating to RCM is there. Now, whether RCM is applicable or not, that you have to see and you have to tell me whether RCM is applicable or not. Because this is also one of the questions where some students can commit mistake. This is one of the provision where this can be done. So that is why I'm taking it. Okay. Lingaraju, can you tell me the reason? Because one thing which is here given is composition scheme, registered under composition scheme. So does it make any difference? Karthik, your answer was actually you are getting confused. I'm not on ITC. I'm not on ITC. I'm not asking whether ITC will be available or not. But let me tell you, Karthik, it's not blocked under 17.5. But I'm just asking whether it is taxable. And if taxable, whether it is taxable under RCM or not. So Lingaraju, your answer is correct. Kuldeep, what is your answer? RCM not applicable. Yes, that was the point I was trying to highlight, Jaya. That if you see let me tell you the security services entry, then that will help all the students to know it also and answer it also. Security services by way of the services provided by way of supply of security personals. It is liable to reverse charge, or a tax is payable on reverse charge if it is provided by a non-body corporate. Security services provided by a non-body corporate to a registered person. Okay. तो supplier कौन होना चाहिए? Non-body corporate, and recipient should be registered person. Here, supplier is safety and security services, non-body corporate. Recipient is a registered person, जो भी निवेदिता company जो है निवेदिता Private Limited, that is a company that is registered under GST. So these two conditions are fulfilled. Now, after this entry, there is an exception, or there is a proviso which is given to you that nothing contained in this entry shall apply to a composition scheme supplier and to a person registered under section 51 or 52 only for deducting or collecting TCS and TZS. Now, that is the point. Composition levy जब हम पढ़ते हैं तो हमें ऐसा लगता है कि फिर अगर अब हमने यहाँ पर लिखा कि ये जो supplier है, ये sole proprietorship firm है registered under composition scheme. ठीक है, कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम में ये रजिस्टर्ड है, सप्लायर है हमारा, तो अगर हमने ये इसके केस में हमें लगा कि ये जो एक्सेप्शन है ये यहाँ पर अप्लाई हो जाएगी, बट ये एक्सेप्शन यहाँ अप्लाई नहीं होगी, क्योंकि व्हेन वी से नथिंग इन दिस केस शैल अप्लाई टू अ कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम, वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट द रेसिपिएंट. हमारा रेसिपिएंट जो रजिस्टर्ड है, दैट शुड नॉट बी रजिस्टर्ड only for the purpose of collecting or deducting TDS, TCS, or for composition scheme. That is not a composition supplier. Recipient. This exception applies to recipient. इसीलिए ये पॉइंट इंपॉर्टेंट है. आपका कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम वाला जो पॉइंट है, दैट विल नॉट अप्लाई टू द सप्लायर. यहाँ पर सप्लायर कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम में है. सप्लायर के कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम में होने से रिवर्स चार्ज की एप्लीकेबिलिटी पे फर्क नहीं पड़ेगा. रेसिपिएंट should not be under composition scheme, and or he should not fall in any of the exceptions. So those two exceptions are applicable to the recipient, and that is why reverse charge provisions will apply here. If you see the answer, let me come to the answer. So answer maybe we have not mentioned the specific reason of the composition supplier, but yes, we have mentioned that reverse charge provisions will apply because ये जो composition scheme वाला point है, या जो composition scheme का जो exception है, that applies to the recipient, not to the supplier. हमारे case में supplier is a composition supplier, so that restriction or that exception will not apply here, and this will be taxable under reverse charge. Mathily saying this is taxable but not under GST, it will come under composition levy. नहीं, composition levy में भी नहीं. Composition levy में जो safety and security services को पे करना है, वो तो अपनी services पे पे करेगा अपना normally, जैसे वो करता है 3%, 6% पे जो tax वो पे करेगा, that it will pay. But हमें reverse charge पे normally जैसे tax पे करना है, वैसे ही हम reverse charge पे 9% के हिसाब से tax पे करेंगे. Okay. I got few queries in ECPL also. One student has asked, these queries were earlier queries. So I have got only one query from one point from Hans Kumar Singh. Good afternoon. I love the way you teach the subject. Why don't you take all LVCs on the subject? Since long I'm waiting for an expert on the subject of taxation being the core subject. Yes, it's a very important subject of CA profession, but I never met in LVC such an expert who could handle GST and no, I cannot handle income tax, Hans Kumar, because income tax, I can only tell you the broad points of preparation, but that has been handled very well by my colleagues, and they have given you a very good insight also how to prepare for the subject. So I find people, okay, in the coaching class, though members of ICAI commanding, see, I would say we are conducting live virtual classes. We give you an insight. These success at CA exam are for substantiating or supporting those LVC classes. So yes, definitely. If you feel this way, you can communicate it in the feedback. Feedback forms are there. You can write at bosnoida@icai.in, whatever grievances you have regarding the subject, the classes. See, if any outside classes are there, then I cannot comment on that. But yes, any concerns you have regarding LVC, that you can write to bosnoida@icai.in. Whatever feedback, whatever you want to share, whatever feedback you have shared here, you can share it at bosnoida@icai.in also. There it might be considered. So there, because that is where all queries are handled, so you can give it there. Please share important chapters to prepare for Mathly. For that, you should refer the section-wise weightage of the income tax. That is also available on website. Let me show you BOS Knowledge Portal. Same principle goes for all the subjects, in fact. And that is why I'm telling you that these important subjects, everything is important from the student's point of view. But what we have to see is the section-wise weightage. That is something which is shared with the students, which gives you an idea of the important topics. So on BOS Knowledge Portal, I hope all of you are referring this BOS Knowledge Portal on a regular basis, because all updates, everything which is latest and applicable for your exams is available there. In fact, for study material also, please refer the corrigendum which we issue for the study material, because there if we notice anything which we are going through the study material and we notice, that we correct and we update it on the website in the form of corrigendum. So that also you should refer. For any publication, if we notice anything which has to be modified, that is done by way of the corrigendum. Let me show you the section-wise and skill-wise weightage of the income tax that you can refer, and you will be able to know the important topics for the income tax. Yes. So you can see the weightage of the section-wise weightage of income tax. That will give you this. At this place, you will get the entire section-wise weightage. So you can refer this. For all the subjects, you can refer. This is one file where section-wise weightage for all the subjects is there. This gives you important topics of all these subjects. You see the weightage and accordingly you can prepare. So for GST, I told you that what is most important is the core provisions and how you have to do core provisions, to what extent you have to do them. That is, we have already seen. In fact, this was one example which I was trying to cover. But Yes, one important point I want to cover here before we wind up, because in commonly committed errors, I told you that one important point has been left. I will cover after case scenarios. This is that point. Now, reverse charge services. Any services on which tax is payable under reverse charge, that also has to be paid by the particular registered person only. For example, in our question, this would be the perfect example to see this. Our this is the suggested answer. Sorry, I'm taking the RTP. Yes, in our RTP question, if you see, we have 3 supplies which are taxable under reverse charge mechanism. See, okay. Now, this tax also has to be paid by the our registered person or the supplier for which we are computing the GST liability. So this inward supplies, the tax on inward supplies or tax under RCM, this has to be paid in cash only. Many a time what students do is they set off the ITC after adding this GST payable in the reverse. This is GST payable on outward supplies, output GST payable. To this, they add this GST payable in the reverse chart. Suppose this is X amount, this is Y amount. Now, in this X plus Y, from this X plus Y, they deduct the ITC, that is Z, and then they think that this is net GST liability, which is not at all correct. This is absolutely wrong. And this is a common mistake which every student commits. So please keep this in mind. RCM by cash payment. Very good, Lingaraju. Very happy to see this. Other students also, if you have understood, if you know this concept, in fact, I am explaining this concept right now, but those who know this concept, please write it in the chat box so that I can know that yes, this much students already knew this. They will not commit any mistake in exams for this. See, so GST payable under reverse charge has to be paid in cash. So what is the correct way of doing it is, this is reverse charge. So this you do not have to add to this. From output GST payable, you have to deduct the ITC. Whatever amount comes from that, you have to add this, whatever amount comes, suppose it comes A, suppose X minus Z, that means the output tax liability minus ITC is A. To this, you have to add your Y amount, and then you get the net GST payable in cash. My only point is that you cannot set off your ITC from GST payable under reverse charge mechanism. So correct way to do that, or the right way to proceed, is compute your output GST payable. From that, set off the ITC and then arrive at the net GST payable. To that, you add the GST payable under reverse charge. In fact, in this question, I have to see the question again. I think we have not asked net GST payable in cash. Yes, in this question, we have not asked the net GST payable in cash. Had we asked you the net GST payable in cash, then you had to set off the ITC.
मैम सिक्योरिटी सर्विस के केस में आउटपुट जीएसटी रिवर्स चार्ज मैकेनिज्म में होता, उसके लिए हमें वो रीजन देना है, और आईटीसी के लिए हमें वो आईटीसी ब्लॉक करना है.
हाँ, आईटीसी नहीं, सिक्योरिटी सर्विसेज पे आईटीसी ब्लॉक नहीं है. कार्तिक ने पूछा ये बात शायद, हाँ, जिसने भी पूछा है, सिक्योरिटी सर्विसेज पे आईटीसी ब्लॉक नहीं है.
होता है ना.
हाँ,
कंपोजिशन स्कीम में मैम आईटीसी ब्लॉक होता है ना.
अच्छा, हाँ, कॉम्पोजिशन स्कीम में आईटीसी ब्लॉक्ड होता है, बट वो हम कॉम्पोजिशन, जब हम किसी कॉम्पोजिशन सेलर से परचेज कर रहे हैं कोई चीज, तो जो उसने गुड्स हमें सेल किए हैं या जो भी सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड की हैं उस पेपर, यहाँ जो आईटीसी है, ये आईटीसी हमें खुद मिल रहा है, मतलब सॉरी, ये आईटीसी हम खुद पे कर रहे हैं. दिस इज टैक्स पेबल अंडर रिवर्स चार्ज. दिस इज नॉट द कॉम्पोजिशन टैक्स. ओके, इसलिए इसके ऊपर आईटीसी जो है वो मिलेगा. इसके ऊपर आईटीसी ब्लॉक नहीं होगा. आप क्वेश्चन में भी देख सकते हो, इसके ऊपर आईटीसी मिलेगा. मैथिली इज आस्किंग, आरसीएम विल पे इन कैश ओनली, इनपुट वी कैन ऐड, बट आउटपुट टैक्स लायबिलिटी टू बी पेड इन कैश ओनली. वेरी गुड. आरसीएम पर आपको जो भी टैक्स पे करना है आप कैश में पे करोगे. आपकी जो आउटपुट टैक्स पेएबल है उसमें से आप लेस कर दोगे आईटीसी, और जो डिफरेंशियल अमाउंट आएगा उसके अंदर आप टैक्स पेएबल अंडर आरसीएम को सेपरेटली ऐड करोगे. तो टैक्स पेएबल अंडर आरसीएम will not be added anywhere except जो net amount आता है output GST payable में से ITC less करने के बाद जो amount आएगा आप उसमें RCM का amount add करोगे and that will give you final GST payable in cash. That is the correct way to do it.
Ma'am, speak in English, ma'am.
Okay, let me explain it in English again. If you want to know the correct way of setting off in case you have tax payable in RCM, what is the correct way is, first of all, you have to compute output GST payable. Output GST payable will be all your outward supplies into the respective rate of taxes. You will get sum, and that will be a total output GST payable. From that, you have to set off your ITC, input tax credit. So you will set off your input tax credit from that and you will get a differential amount. Suppose that amount is A. I'm assuming that amount is A. Now to that amount, you have to add whatever GST you are paying under reverse charge on inward supplies. That you have to add, and the figure which you will get or the amount which you will get will be net GST payable in cash. Though in our RTP question that was not asked, but in normally if you are doing that, this is the correct way to treat it. Let me show you this. This is the correct sequence. GST liability under forward charge less ITC. In our case, we had taken the example which I had taken was Manpower Security Services. That will give you a differential figure, forward charge liability on outward supplies after set off of ITC. To this, you will add the tax payable under reverse charge. So you will get the net GST liability payable in cash. Okay. So I hope this clears your doubt. First, find the outward supply, then deduct ITC, including this, then deduct ITC, including RCM. Very good, Jaya. That is also very important. That this tax which I have paid under RCM, this is an inward supply. So I have to check the ITC availability on that also. For example, in security services, ITC is available. But in case had it been renting of motor vehicle, and their ITC is not available because of the motor vehicle, original motor vehicle is also, we are operating in some other business, other line of business, and I am taking a motor vehicle on hire, or it can be other services also. It can be your personal grooming services or the annual fee of the of your employees. So annual membership fee for the employees, any kind of services on which credit is blocked. So, but that is not in under RCM. So any service which is under RCM, that a perfect example would be renting of motor vehicle only, and that is, suppose credit is not available, then you don't have to take it. But if credit is available under on services on of RCM, for example, security services, or you can take another example, sponsorship services are there, GTA services are there. On those credit is available, so that credit you will be taking. So you will include it in ITC also. For example, in our case, Manpower Security Services was there. So we had taken it in the ITC also. ITC I have mentioned, including Manpower Security Services. And then the differential amount we'll add tax payable under reverse charge. So I hope this clears your doubt. And with this, we'll come to the end of the session because it's already 4:17. We have exceeded too much the time limit. But still, anybody has any specific doubt you can ask. Otherwise, we'll come to the end of the session. Anybody has any doubt, or should we wind up the session? I'll just give you 1 minute more. Okay. Thank you, Ritik. You can write down your doubts at idt-enter@ICAI.in or BoS Noida. Any subject specific IDT related doubts you can write here, or any other doubt you want to write, you can write it at bosnoida@ICAI.in. Okay. Thank you, Ritik. Thank you, Aditya. Thank you, Lingaraju. All of you, all the best for your exams. So hope all of you will come out in flying colors after the exams. Thank you so much.